From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your hosts, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Oh, man, it's never surprising. It's never dull here. It's always one surprise after another.
We didn't start a couple minutes late, did we? No.
Oh, man. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all late breaking news, wrapping up the...
Sorry about that. Everybody's ears are blown out right now.
Wrapping up the week in review, giving you the details that they were talking about on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had a huge breaking docu-dump. Tom Fitton, CEO of Judicial Watch, had sued... Freedom of Information Act, sued last year for documents on the FISA warrant. I wanted to see the FISA warrant, and they were late on getting it to him. They finally got it to him yesterday at 5 p.m. last night. And it was 400 and some pages, and 400 and some pages redacted. But
what?
No, it's insane.
They had to add pages just to make sure there was enough redacted.
Right. So I'm scrolling through the pages. And black line. So I did it real fast to see if I could get black lines, all black line, blacked out, the full pages all redacted.
They had to go through several Sharpies.
Oh, it took a lot of Sharpies.
Well, but when you get to a certain point where you're dragging that Sharpie along the paper and you start to be able to see through it a little bit because you're running out of ink. That can happen at the FBI, apparently.
So I did a huge crash course. Thank you, Bill, who was part of our private message meetup group for Smith Radio. If you want to be a part of that, jump over to smithradio.com, crush the Patreon button.
And he's on our chat right now. Awesome.
That's why I gave him a
shout out.
Welcome
to the show, Bill.
Okay, real quick, there's a lot of stuff that we got to get through. I've got dozens of video clips, all about a minute, 2 minutes long. We're not going to get through all this stuff. There's going to be leftovers. We'll probably wind up talking about it on Twitter throughout the rest of the week. If you're on the show right now, crush the share, hit it, push the share, and crush the like, or if you're on Facebook, the thumbs up.
Yeah, the Vimeo has a little heart. You can click on the heart I just did right now if you guys are watching and saw that. You can also, there's a paper airplane. And that will enable you to share it if you're watching on Vimeo. What else are we broadcast on? Do we do Facebook?
Well, we're live. We're live on Periscope on Sunday nights, 5 to 8.
Okay.
And if you get confused on where to go and find us, go right to the website, smithradio.com.
That's the easiest way.
It's right in the middle, right up top. It's all there. And then,
for those of you that are really new, don't forget the spelling. SMYTHRADYO? I-O, radio. There you go.
Always
not
fun
to
and
confuse
games.
you.
So last week we had a little bit of technical issues, had some updates. Everything's updated. If it's looking like it's glitchy, it's moving a little slow.
Boy, talk about
I don't know what to do about that, but the sound is all you need right now.
Which I'm working on over here on my right hand.
Okay, so here's kind of the rundown on what we're going to try and get to. We are at day 544 in Trump's administration. And the list of things that he has accomplished is amazing, milestones. It's too much to even talk about in an entire show. It's amazing, but we'll touch on some of those things. George Soros is sorely disappointed. His biggest disappointment in his life, Barack Obama.
That's a disappointment to him?
He said that publicly, yes.
Why?
We'll get to probably because Trump is elected.
We'll get to that. That is true. That is true. It is a well-known fact that the legacy of Barack Obama is Donald Trump.
Right, and we've coined it here on Smith Radio. I think you Carrie, may have been the first one to coin the term uniparty.
I want to give Joe Proenza some credit for that. For those of you that went to the Georgia meetup, he was that real young, skinny, dark-haired dude.
Out on the West Coast. Wasn't he out in Washington or Oregon
or
something?
No, he actually lives nearby in Georgia. He didn't have to drive very far at all.
He lives in Georgia?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking of somebody else.
But he's the one that I first heard call it a uniparty. But so many people were calling it a uniparty that he could have got it from somebody. I don't know if Joe wants to tell me where he heard that from, or if he wants to admit that he coined it himself, he can let me know.
So I've been corrected, and when we're wrong here on the show, folks, we'll admit it. And thank you, Bill. It was via James in the meetup. Thank you, James. Man, thank you for the FISA abuse dump to us to get us the information quick. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that.
It was all redacted,
Oh,
though. He just gave us pages and pages of black lines.
Well, ironically, the conservative treehouse.com, they did a phenomenal job of just pointing out a couple of different things and putting those things together and some of the common overlooked mistakes that you wouldn't think about, and put those together, and on page 4 will shock you.
Oh, yeah.
So we're
clickbait.
We might not have enough time to get to the establishment sabotaging Donald Trump's just SCOTUS pick, Kavanaugh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Marco Rubio's leading the charge.
Oh, that's not the only thing he's doing this week. He is awful.
Yeah, Marco Rubio's out of control. Little Marco.
If you've been watching Smith Radio for a long time, you know why. It's that big yellow folder with the string that goes around to close the top. It's packed. It's like so thick that the seams are kind of ripping. And when you open that up and pull it out, it's full size 8x10, black and white, telephoto lens shots of Marco Rubio doing things while they had him roofied.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
That's what happens, folks. That's really what happens. We're going to get into the Judge Jeanine debacle and the reason why, I'm not doing it for the gossip.
She's so classy because she just took that very well.
Yeah, and we're not doing it because of the gossip part of it. We want to go over this and use this as a teaching moment. You were the first one that I know that said, did the Democrats behave like Antifa during the Peter Strzok hearing?
Yeah, the congressional hearing, yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, Democrats and liberals are acting like Antifa across the board. And Whoopi Goldberg is no...
She pulled the Antifa there. It was like you're trying to have a discussion at one of their free speech rallies or one of our free speech rallies, and they decide we're going to win this by making sure that our voice is louder than yours while you're talking. And if it's not, I got a bullhorn right around the corner. Right.
And I wasn't sure that he was a comedian, but I guess he's labeled a bona fide comedian, Terrence.
Yeah, I think, yeah. If he calls himself a comedian, I didn't know he was a professional comedian. I just thought he was some guy that started scoping himself and is actually a very, very likable person.
He's hysterical. He's a Trump supporter, black, looks fairly young, maybe late 20s, early 30s. And the picture, well, I don't know if it's still up there, but his iconic picture, his little icon, was him holding a chicken leg, eating a piece of chicken.
Oh, right. I think it's a play on the PC culture of the left. Kind of like,
Absolutely.
These are things you're not allowed to say.
So he calls out Whoopi Goldberg from one black man to another one. I mean, whatever the case may be.
Remember when Patrick Swayze had to kiss her?
Ooh.
Oh, a little Ghost reference for you there.
Oh, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit just now.
Anyways, some backwash here.
Moving on. Wow. So he calls her ghetto. Street. She went street
Really?
Ghetto. Really lays into her. That's
a dog whistle.
It's about a minute and a half, 2 minute long. Dog whistle.
Yeah.
For what? For us to get fired up? What?
Well, you can't, like, when you use certain words, the left loves to do this. They label certain words, and it's always arbitrary. It's always wherever they can get an advantage over you or somehow tear you down and call you a racist or whatever. But if they don't like something that you say, they'll hone in on a specific word that you use, and they'll call it a dog whistle. So if you're criticizing a person and a leftist, if you're criticizing a leftist and that leftist just happens to be black,
right,
and you use certain words, they will label that a dog whistle. And in this case, I'm talking about the use of the word ghetto.
Right.
You can't use the word ghetto when criticizing a black liberal because they'll say that you're saying that because you're not just criticizing that one person, you're criticizing anybody who's black.
Yeah, but Terrence is black.
So right, that's why it's hilarious to call it a dog whistle. So, yeah, it always bites them in the butt when it comes down to the fact that not all black people are liberal, Hillary-supporting, Democrat, pull the lever, whatever.
Right, absolutely not. Huge movement, hashtag walk away. very, very big. A lot of people are starting to come to the realization that it is time to leave the Democrat plantation.
Right.
And we're going to talk about the absolute. I played that song. I had to do this. Check this out, folks.
The end of the world. Why did you choose that song? Is it relevant to this show?
I've been wanting to do that song for a while now. End of the World by REM from back in the 90s?
But is it more relevant to this show than other shows? Because now you're saying you wanted to do it for a while. So there were other shows that it would have been relevant.
Right. And ironically, when I was doing show prep, I went ahead, set that all up, and I said, okay, we're going to do it. This is the show we're going to do it on because I really think that the liberal talking heads, MSM, I really believe their heads are imploding, exploding, going supernova, really losing it, especially with the treason comments, Donald Trump's treasonous montage. And they've got nothing. They're going nowhere. They got nothing else. They're hitching their wagon to Bernie Sanders and his disciple, Ocasio-Cortez, who is trying to flip a seat red.
Here's the thing. We all know what she means.
Red and yellow. Communist.
Black and yellow, like the Steelers, that one song. No, I don't. We know what she means. So red, you mean red as in red communist?
Yes. That's what I believed that she was under. Because why?
You may actually be right.
She's a 28-year-old young millennial.
Yeah, and the thing is by the time I was 28, I feel like I had a handle on these things, and I wasn't even winning primaries.
No.
She's winning primaries. Sure, she was a waitress and whatnot, and some people may look at that and say, oh, well, she's just straight off of civilian world. She just decided to run, doesn't know anything, and won, and isn't that great? Come on, she's got to know more than what I would have known at that point.
She's being indoctrinated into socialism and communism. She's flowing into that party. She's supporting that party. It's an emotional, touchy-feely thing.
You mean the Communist Party USA?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so she's hitched her wagon 100% to that thing. She's loving every minute of hanging out with the hero.
She's towing that wagon.
Right. She's feeling the burn. And in a good way.
And there's people that are not going to like this, but it is what it is. You know, looks matter, and she's a very attractive girl. And
she's beautiful, sure.
It's going to be something that people are going to latch on to. You know, you got Barack Obama was this young, good-looking guy. I think people seem to have had that feeling on Clinton, even though I was at an age when Clinton won office that he looked like an old man to me. So I don't know.
Yeah, even when he got on, when he was on SNL, when I was a young kid, he was on SNL playing his saxophone. Everybody's, oh, he's so dreamy. I looked at him like, he's an old creep.
Are you wearing boxers or briefs?
I thought that was so gross. I'm like,
are you wearing a condom right now? Like, what are we talking about here?
He could be old enough. Is it buckskin or is it latex?
Is it G-string?
Yeah, I'm like, this guy's old enough to be my dad. You guys are gross. But that's where they go. Anyway, so we're going to get into the left-wing liberal insanity. So I want to do the End of the World by REM, and it's so relevant to this show. When I was doing show prep, I went to Judge Jeanine and got a clip from her. She subbed in for Sean Hannity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And as she subbed in for Sean Hannity, this was her opening.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Okay.
And I thought,
I see.
I said, holy.
So for a long time, you've been wanting that to be our intro, but now that she said it, that was your calling. You had to make it happen.
Yeah, I did it before I knew she said it. I didn't even know she said it.
Wow, that's a pretty cool coincidence. Actually.
So her and I are both on the same page. And
Gotcha.
in case you didn't know, folks, we were at CPAC a year and a half, some change ago, where we met Judge Jeanine.
And if you don't have the picture to prove it on hand to show everybody, you failed. That's all I'm saying.
I did.
That's all I'm saying.
I did.
Well, you can find it on Facebook for sure. I know I posted it on Facebook.
It's quickly found on Facebook.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're going to get into Donald Trump's. He has confirmed he's bringing Putin to America. So we're going to get into the whole Trump-Russia collusion ordeal. What does it mean? Why are they going full board Russian collusion? Why are they making a big deal of this thing that Donald Trump did last week, meeting with Vladimir Putin? Why are they losing their ever-loving mind? Why are they pounding it home? There's a reason for all this, and it's all connected. of this.
I was available on Twitter lately. If you guys notice that I'm a little less active on Twitter lately, it's I've just gotten super busy. But in a rare, it was just total coincidence that it happened to be on this day, Monday last week. This week of Monday, I just happened to be available on Twitter all day.
Wow!
And I was able to report to everybody via Twitter that the left was losing their mind. And if you were at work, which most people that were following me at that moment were, and unable to get to a cable channel, they heard for the first time from me that they were losing their mind over the Putin summit, the Trump-Putin summit in Helsinki. And it was interesting. Their narrative was very well thought out. I thought it was a brilliant move on the fake news media's part in order to propagandize their viewers, and also because it was going to get play elsewhere. It was going to be covered in the newspaper, and it was going to be criticized by the right, that it was going to be great propaganda. It was going to mislead the public very effectively, and it did. And I gave them credit for it, But mind you, it's still fake. It's still misleading people with false information. And they were getting hysterical about it, and it wasn't because they were actually upset or actually insulted. Now, the ones on the right who aren't necessarily anti-Trump or sometimes Trump, some people call them sometimes Trumpers, the ones that are like, yeah, I criticize him when he does something I don't like.
Is it Ben?
And,
or is Ben a never-Trumper?
If I were to be perfectly honest with you, because I can't stand
Ben Shapiro, folks. Ben Shapiro.
I can't stand Ben Shapiro, but if I had to be perfectly honest with you, he praises Trump when Trump either does something very specific that he specifically has been calling for, or if numbers come back from like the economy, jobless numbers, unemployment, and they come out and they're so good that he has no choice but to praise him. He does. I'll give Ben credit for that. But when I say sometimes Trump, that's rare. It's rare. But my point is, here's my point. The hysterics coming from the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, which is your CNNs and your MSNBCs, those were the two because they were available to be broadcasting in real time all day when y'all were at work on Monday. Right. And I was watching them very closely and reporting on it on Twitter. And what happens is you got your sometimes and never Trumpers who are going to fall for it instantly as far as it being a horrible disaster that but we had people who were pretty reliable Trump fans that were falling for it. Newt Gingrich fell for it.
Yeah, the hook, line, and sinker.
And that one woman that I can't remember her name, Tiffany or something like that, from Fox News. She's one of the I don't know if she's an anchor, but she has a show on Fox News, and she had a rant, and I blew up on her on Twitter. But my point is that they did such a good job in the fake news propaganda arm of the Democrat Party that they had actually convinced people who have an audience. They have a big audience. They have a lot of followers. They have a lot of people that tune into their shows that were actually falling for what they were hearing on CNN and MSNBC.
And if you stuck to Breitbart News or some of the local news like us, you would have found out the truth. Right. And there's a lot of great articles, especially one guy that you got to follow, Joe Polak. It just phenomenal article that he wrote about Donald Trump and what is really going on with the Russian summit, if you will.
Right. It got a little confusing though because I don't know if it was the very next day later or 2 days later, but Trump had to reverse a key line that he said at the summit to pretty much mean the opposite of what he said. He was trying to say he meant something totally different, and that was where he changed the word would to wouldn't, and he was referring to a line he said where he doesn't know why Russia would want to interfere with their election, and he said no I read it wrong. I meant I do understand why they would want to.
Now, I'm not going to defend him, and I'm not picking up the pieces, but in all reality, seems like an innocent mistake to me.
My problem, and this is about the most negative you're going to hear me on Trump probably ever yet to date, and that is when you're doing these big, high-level, high-profile summits. It wasn't really a summit, but, meetings with world leaders, especially leaders of superpowers, especially ones where they could be considered by many to be an adversary, or as Trump calls them, a competitor.
Right.
You definitely want to make sure that the message you're conveying to them is clear, the communication's clear, and it's one thing to say something that's ambiguous, where you're kind of like, well, he could have meant it this way, or well, he could have meant it that way. It's another thing to say something and then realize 24 hours later that what you had said clearly right in front of the person was the opposite of what you actually meant. That could be a little problematic. And my biggest fear is that the Democrats and the Never Trumpers and the Rhino Party are going to try to use that against them in 2020. I'm a little worried about that. So just brace yourself for that. When 2020 rolls around, you're going to probably forget all about the show. But I'll refer back to it. I'll say, guys, I told you way back in 2018.
They're coming for you.
Brace yourself, because this is probably going to be one of the main things. They're going to say we can't trust a president that can't get the messaging right with these meetings with this world leader. So that's what they're coming for.
And they also hammered him on a time during a presser where he said no more. I'm moving on.
Oh yeah,
and he was saying no to the question. No more questions. No more questions.
Right.
No, moving on. So he did clarify that. Just whatever it is, it's going to be nitpicky. It's going to be tit for tat. They're not going to give him a break. They're not going to ease up. They're not going to be like the MSM during Obama, who said when Obama said, my Muslim faith leads me, and he said, "Oh, you mean Christian?" Yeah, my Christian.
Oh
faith
yeah, I'm Christian today. That's right.
It leads me.
Do you have the video of what he said this week?
I had so much going on. I didn't get it.
Well, just go ahead and say it right now then. Okay. He said he's the first president of America from Kenya.
What?
Yeah. He said
I didn't hear that.
Brian's been awful busy this week.
What?
He said it was a video speech that he did.
Okay.
Overseas, I think, this week. And he said, I'm proud first president of the United States from Kenya. Flat out said that. So Brian's like desperately finding this thing now. I'll tell you what. You do the next item and I'll send it to you. Am I allowed to send it to you? It's that bad. Brian's like, stop the show, stop the presses. We are finding this video.
This is unbelievable.
I would have thought, it was so big. Everybody's like, did he just say that? Now, he could be trolling because you can't do anything to him now. I think we should be able to post facto delete his entire presidency.
I mean, you could do like Barry Bonds, put an asterisk next to his name.
Yeah, but the number's still there. I think you should be able to take Barry Bonds and say, okay, he was never in the Major League Baseball. Delete him from the entire. What I'm saying is if we have a president who does all these deals and signs in laws and all this kind of stuff, and then we find out he was totally ineligible, I don't see why we couldn't go back and strike that all from the record. But
dude, that's not going to be.
Oh, he can't find it because Google.
Dude, that's going to be scrubbed.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Okay, all right. As we moving right along,
I'll get it in a second.
Okay, moving right along, folks. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that. Also, if we've got time, I really want to get into. We're going to also play the clip where Donald Trump is talking about the 2020 run, and the interviewee asked Donald Trump, "Hey, what do you think about Biden? What's your personal take on Biden?" We're going to get to that. It's going to be hysterical. Fox News wrote an article, and the title of the article was Donald Trump throws haymakers at Joe Biden.
Do what?
Yeah, they said Donald Trump throws haymakers at Biden. So it was pretty funny. We'll get into that. But while you're doing that, I really want to get to this. Last week, we ended up talking about, at the very end of the show, I went down the run-through and the rundown of Seth Rich.
Right.
Now, why do I bring that up again? I've had so many questions about this. This Seth Rich thing is actually tied into Russia in the sense that it's all deep state believing that they were on it. So here's how it goes. all the way back to 2006 in Baltimore, Maryland. There was a circuit court judge in Baltimore, Maryland, who had an organization of guys and girls. I don't know girls, but an organization of guys called the Dirty Gang or the Dirty Mob, and they would go around and they would do things in the sense of spying, internet hacking on internet, all to gather information on individual people, primarily on what they call the threes. It's the District 3 judges, which there's only 120 of them nationwide. Out of all these judges, this one judge in Maryland was trying to gain dirt on all these judges those are life-appointed judges, get dirt on them so that they could control them in some form or fashion. If they were too good to be controlled, then they would go after their friends and their family, find dirt on them, and drum it up. This became big business back in early mid-2000s for this circuit court judge and his group. It became big business to sell information, to buy information. They got very, very sophisticated in 06, 07. They were able to hack into Hillary Clinton's emails back then when she was running against Obama. This judge in Maryland absolutely loathes Hillary Clinton, and Clinton absolutely loathes him, so there was no reason why they wouldn't hack into her stuff anyways. Take it, use it, sell it, whatever, oppo research to gain leverage and control over other people. Okay, Barack Obama becomes president. This organization starts to flourish and run wild. They actually get into government computers, government systems, and they develop this really high-end technology to where they're able to change documents from classified to unclassified. They're able to change the classification of certain particular documents. You're like, Brian, why would they do that? It's all about money and power. Either they can sell this information. They don't care about America. They don't care about what's going on. They're in the free-for-all of getting whatever they possibly can get because it's all about money and power. So as they're rising through the ranks, as this circuit court judge in Maryland starts to rise in ranks as well, appointed to different positions, he then gains more and more power. Well, out of this gang, this organization, 3 guys, one that was a former ATF, former DEA, who was specialized in MS-13 gangs, which is very important to this, and then another agent that worked with him. These 3 guys actually ran across the fact they were watching Seth Rich because he started to come up on their screen. Seth Rich triggered them in the sense of what he was doing, the information he was downloading from the DNC because he found that Hillary Clinton was cheating against Bernie Sanders. That's a whole nother story, but don't worry about that. Just for this sense, this is why this is going on. So they started trailing Seth Rich. They found out he put everything on a thumb drive, and they knew that he had the thumb drive on him at all times. They waited in the late hours in D.C. thinking they were going to nab him late at night. Morning started to come. They were getting nervous, but they finally caught up to him on the streets, put him on his knees, ridiculed him, made fun of him, shot him in the ribs. He laid down, tried to crawl away. They made fun of him as he was crawling away, shot him a second time, rolled him over, took the thumb drive, and walked away. That's why he had everything on him: wallet, watch, cell phone.
Right, but why did they leave him to survive for a whole day? They said he was talking at the hospital. It's strange. I mean, I would think that if he needed to be shot at all, then he needed to be finished off.
I would think that you would shoot.
Like, he could have survived.
I mean, I'm not trying to be grotesque or mean about this or anything. If there's an execution, the fastest way to execute someone is in the head. Apparently, they didn't shoot him in the head.
So he was shot multiple times, is what you're saying.
Yeah, according to the inside source, this inside source actually was part of this gang for years. And he said that it wasn't one time we sat down, they spilled the beans. Over a period of a couple of years, they bragged about this killing on multiple occasions.
Okay.
And would slowly let pieces of information out here and there, here and there. This source has also talked to the Intel committee and has been on the polygraph multiple times. And somebody from the Daily Beast questioned, why should we even believe you? And he said, well, the names, the dates, the times, the phone numbers, the bank accounts and the bank routing numbers of where money went, I've got all of that, and I've given that to the Intel.
I would have given it to my congressman. I would not touch.
No.
I wouldn't touch any part of the executive branch with a 100,000-foot pole.
Right.
Period.
So he goes by the name, the code name, I guess, Luke. That's what they call him, Luke. And he's in this whole thing. And he said Seth Rich was in over his head. And look at the whole grand scheme of thing. Seth Rich was so far over his head, he had no clue.
You made that case last show.
He had no idea.
I was shocked. I didn't know you to what extent you were going to go with that story. When you went beyond, you went into uncharted waters with me. I was like, yeah, I'm putting myself in Seth Rich's shoes right now. How could he have ever even thought for a second that he was going down this road? And even the people that ended up killing him didn't realize that Seth was kind of harmless, right?
Yeah. Well, no, harmless. And that was the other thing, too, is that these three guys believed, they were mistaken in a sense, but they believed that there was an investigation that was launched, unbeknownst to them, on them. Okay. And the judge that was protecting them, and they were worried that the judge didn't have enough, as he was rising through the ranks, didn't have enough clout, didn't have enough ability to protect them in the sense, and they had to protect all of their stuff, whether it be espionage in the sense of classified material, giving it to foreign governments, whether it be money laundering, blackmail, bribery, all this stuff, big money, and their number one goal was to obtain control over the Justice Department, the justice system. And so when they saw what Seth Rich had done, they assumed that he was part of a larger investigation that was being launched and could possibly implicate them.
Oh, so they were trying to cover their own butts.
Yeah, this was CYA.
By getting rid of him, they figured that will cut the link off. And that makes me more curious why they didn't make sure that he was dead.
Yeah, that is still a curiosity. I don't know.
And in a way, it may explain why a guy who shows up to the hospital with survivable wounds, conscious, and able to talk ends up dead anyway. That would make sense, actually.
Right.
Because if he needed to die, they eventually got that mission accomplished.
Right. Now, that part of the story, Luke did not talk about any specifics about hospitalization or anything of that nature, but then moved quickly on to all the things that this organization was doing. And as the judge from Maryland rose through the ranks, this judge, also one who signed off on one of the FISA warrants, because he rose through the ranks that far. He was one of the ones that signed off on the very last FISA warrant. Now we're getting into this FISA drop now. Check this out. This judge signed off. There was one FISA warrant that was gained on Carter Page, who happened to be put into Donald Trump's campaign. We're going to get into Carter Page too in a second. And the newly released FISA warrant that's redacted exposes the hypocrisy and the ridiculousness of why they chose Carter Page. I'm going to get that in a minute. But first, this judge, the first FISA warrant was issued, and it was renewed 3 times. Each time it was renewed, you're supposed to have new evidence to renew it. They never presented new evidence, and it didn't matter. We talked about it. 12,000 FISA warrants, and only 2 were rejected, and both were Barack Obama's. So I'm just saying, it was easy to get one through, and they didn't care. But I digress. So the last warrant in June of 2017, the last time it was renewed, June of 2017, they renewed it a month early. And we just can only speculate about it, but why would they renew it a month early? Well, the 2 people that signed off on it, Andrew McCabe, probably getting nervous that he was going to get axed. And guess who that judge is that I've been so mysteriously not mentioning his name on purpose through all of this?
Because it's shocking.
Through all of this.
Because nobody would know his name?
If you go on Wikipedia, he's listed as a Republican.
Okay, I'm not surprised because a lot of that's kind of the cover, isn't it now? Like when Comey is listed as a Republican. But then again, so are the Bushes, and so is Marco Rubio, and so is John McCain, who we now know is a leftist, big time. But
Judge Rod Rosenstein.
what a surprise. Actually, that should be shocking to a lot of people.
Rod Rosenstein signed off on the last FISA warrant, and it shows it that it actually happened, and how he's in Deputy Attorney General, acting Attorney General, when Jeff Sessions recuses himself, how he's not behind bars, how he's not been arrested, how he's not been fired is beyond all comprehension. Now the FISA dump that just happened. Carter Page, before the FISA warrant was issued, Carter Page, go way back to 2015. Carter Page was involved and was he was part of the FBI in the sense that he was one of their guys. The FBI used Carter Page to testify against a guy being accused of espionage, foreign guy. And so Carter Page was working with the FBI to testify all up until 2016, all the way up until 2016. And then a month later, they file a FISA warrant to spy on Carter Page, listing him in the FISA warrant. It says Carter Page, we believe, is working with Russia. And then later on it says, we believe that Russia is trying to groom Carter Page. So which is it? Is it that he's working with Russia? Or is it that he's being groomed to work with Russia? And hold on. How did you not know that he was a Russian agent when you used him all up until a month later testifying and part of the FBI?
Can you check your email for a video I just sent you?
Okay.
So it's about the judge needing to be investigated. It's the very last one I sent.
Okay, so but my question though, how can he be?
Oh yeah, we're going to get into that. So I did a little research on this because of the video that I saw that I just sent to Brian, and we'll play a little bit of it. It's a 5-minute long video, which is way longer than what we normally play. But this is really important, and you could probably cut it off early. It's Andrew McCarthy. Oh, you got it. There we go. Andrew McCarthy is saying something that I've been saying, Brian's been saying, we at Smith Radio have been calling for a long time. And that is, how could the FISA abuse scandal be only limited to the FBI? There's more than one entity here.
But it's not limited to the FBI.
Well,
John Brennan, head of the CIA, who comes out calling Donald Trump treasonous all week long.
They definitely aided in that. But at the end of the day, the system of checks and balances requires that the judicial branch prevent the executive branch from violating our Fourth Amendment right by signing off on these warrants based on probable cause. And Andrew McCarthy.
I just want to mention Loretta Lynch and Sally Yates, as well as Clapper. And Clapper probably had no idea that he was the guy they used to say that the dossier came from the Justice Department, and they tagged Clapper's name to it.
And I keep hearing different stories. Like sometimes I hear, well, Christopher Steele got this information from Russian agents. So in a very indirect way, the Democrat Party used government agencies that used information from Russian agents, which means that it's all collusion between the government, the Democrat Party, and Russian agents. It's Russian collusion for the Democrats. Now, so there's several different stories as to what exactly the source of this is. But the bottom line is, and this is research I did, I looked at this very closely, is that you can't violate the Fourth Amendment or our right to privacy, secure in our possessions, unless you have the sign-off of a warrant by a judge only for probable cause. And Andrew McCarthy kind of points out that the probable cause here is so not met that we need to start looking at who these FISA judges were.
Okay.
See more than 400 pages of FISA documents, although heavily redacted. They do reveal that the anti-Trump dossier was not just a major factor, it was source number one in the warrants for surveillance of former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page.
Here to react, Fox News contributor and former federal prosecutor Andrew McCarthy. We are really looking forward to hearing your perspective. You have now devoured the documents. What is your takeaway?
I'm really embarrassed because I told people for months that this could never, ever happen. What I told people was that you're not even going to hear about the dossier when we finally learn what's in the FISA warrants, that what the FBI will do is what the FBI always does, which is they'll take 7 or 8 facts that are important, they'll scrub them so that the FBI can verify and corroborate them, and those will be put into the affidavit, and that'll be the only thing you hear about. When you read this thing, it's astonishing. They actually, it's as if they took the dossier and slapped
whole
a
cloth
district court caption on it and gave it to the judge, which is exactly what I told people would never happen.
There's a nugget. We were just in the break. You found a nugget, which I did not, but that's because only you can find this. What have you found?
Well, actually, I must say, I mean, this is so bad that they ought to be looking at the judges who signed off on this stuff, not just the people who gave it. And
right there.
It doesn't take, if you've done this stuff, it doesn't take, this is so bad, it screams out at you. But this says, this is just 3 lines, 3.5 lines.
Page 58. You can check
53.
53? Sorry.
Right. The FBI has reviewed this verified application for accuracy in accordance with its procedures. They haven't verified it, and it's not accurate. So, you know, the 2 most important things, 3.5 lines, they can't even get that right.
Oh,
so check this out.
That's why we need to start investigating these judges and start impeaching. This is where the legislative branch comes in and does the check on the judicial branch. If the judicial branch starts to abuse power, that's when the legislative branch is supposed to come in and start impeaching judges.
James Comey testified that the salacious dossier was not verified.
Right. Unverified and salacious is the exact word for word.
This FISA document states the dossier has been verified.
That's a problem.
Not only James Comey said that somebody else said that too under oath.
James Comey is the person who would have had to tell the judge who wrote that in that document that Andrew McCarthy just read,
right,
that it was salacious and unverified.
Correct.
So was he being honest to the judge, or was he lying to the judge, or was he lying to Congress?
Oh, he was lying. He lied to both people. Well, I believe that they probably did verify that they verified the dossier was from Christopher Steele,
right?
Paid for by Hillary Clinton, and a big nothing burger. He verified that, and so he had to lie to not lie to the FISA court, but just let them believe.
Oh no, you don't understand. You are not allowed to omit facts.
Well, he omitted facts
and
to the FISA court.
That's the biggest problem with the FISA court. The whole idea of lying by omission is, to me, logically problematic. To sit there and say, well, you lied because you didn't tell them all the facts. And it's like, if that's the level that we're requiring in order to prevent abuse of American citizens, it's a broken system.
Right.
So I think that it should be more of a public system. The problem with the FISA courts, which is why our founders are rolling in their graves over it right now, is that it is done in complete secrecy. So this whole, hey, Brian, Judge Smith, I really need this. I really need to be able to spy on the guy down the street, and because I just know he did it, Brian.
All right.
I know he did it.
All right, we'll get this done. I believe you.
And nobody will find out about it.
No. So check this out. Why is this being – there's a couple of questions. Why is this being released, and do they not realize that this is going to expose them? 2 things. I think they believed that they redacted enough that it's not going to show. However, once you get into the document, there's one critical issue, and this falls in line with Peter Strzok saying we're going to pull the ripcord and we're going to enact the insurance policy right now.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. The FISA warrant was supposedly requested and issued all the way back in 2016.
Right.
And
that is true.
And we're questioning the timing of it. What in this FISA, that's not, all dates are redacted. Every single date is redacted.
Well, that's critical to redact that. We got to protect these people.
Except one.
Okay.
Where it was stamped and signed and dated and said, I verify this is a copy of the original FISA warrant from 2016, and I know this is 2017.
So he put 2017.
So, but why would you want a copy of that? Why don't you just send me why don't you send me the one with the date on it?
Why can't you just give them the original and say this is a copy of the original, and then that's it? Just leave it at that.
Yeah. Why'd you redact all the dates? Why is redacting a date national security? Help me out. Help me out with that. Is redacting a date?
So here's the thing that everybody listening needs to understand. It's something I just recently learned. I just learned this. I was getting hoodwinked for a long time, and that is that the deep state that is working against our duly elected, constitutionally elected president, Donald Trump,
right,
and the people who put him there by voting in their state so that the state's electoral college votes go to him.
Right.
The people who are undermining them, which we call the deep state, consider themselves the United States.
Right.
And they know their government, but I want to go further. They'll tell you, we're the government. We're the government. Okay, I'll give you that, but they go further. You'll see it. Start to pay attention to this. This is really, really a key thing. You'll see it in headlines talking about the Putin summit. They say, you shouldn't have thrown us under the bus. You should have defended us, Trump. I don't like that you didn't defend us. You threw us under the bus. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who's us? What are you talking about here? The FBI is not the United States. It's not even the United States government, but it certainly isn't the United States of America. People are acting like we're just residents here. This is the FBI's land, and we're just visitors. Right. We're just visitors. We the people. We're very, very happy to be welcomed onto the FBI's land.
That's so nice of them. So nice of them.
Isn't that exactly how we're being treated right now? Yes. Not just by the FBI and all the deep state people that are supporting him, like John Walsh, who's defending. His idea of patriotism is backing the FBI because they're America. That's America.
I mean, you cannot just say willy-nilly that one single department. Okay, so the department my brother works for in the DOD, that's America.
That's what? America. And if you don't support those people, you're unpatriotic.
But I don't know those people, Kerry.
Well, that's the U.S. You better know them.
Okay.
And you don't need to know them personally. You just need to know them as an organization. And they keep you safe. And without them, you'd be dead in like 1 minute. In 1 minute, you'd be dead. If you got rid of them, you'd be dead. It's as simple as that.
Oh,
the sky would hit you in the head.
Right. No, so, it's absolute insanity.
But really, seriously, from now on, keep that in your mind that these people that are trying to tell you that we need to be patriotic, we need to support those people that are keeping us from dying in 60 seconds. We'd be dead in 60 seconds if it wasn't for the FBI. And we need to support them because without them, we'd be dead. And that's America. And we need to be patriotic and support them. I'm biased because I'm a Marine Corps veteran and Brian's an Air Force veteran, but I'm okay with them, saying that we're a part of America and that we did a good job of standing post or physically defending America, whether you were in combat or not. If you weren't in combat but you're a veteran, you stood post, and that's just as good. Right. And I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. And maybe I'm biased because it makes me feel good when people treat me that way. But the FBI, and everybody talks about, whoa, it's not the rank and file. Brian, it's not the rank and file. But I almost feel like that's enabling, isn't it? I mean, you could correct me if you're wrong. I almost feel like it's enabling to sit there and say, to be afraid to criticize the FBI because you got people out there that are saying that's America. The government is America. It's like going down the road of the United Kingdom. In the UK, the UK is the Queen, and soon King William, I guess. We're going to probably have him one day, right? And the monarchy is the government, is the country. And everybody else is just subjects of that monarchy. In America, it's different. We're self-governing. We are not the government, and the government is not America. And we need to stop with that language. It's really insulting to me, who has served to protect this country, and it's insulting to the founding of this country and the idea of liberty and freedom, and to people that may never step foot in America, who fight hard. Now, Trevor Loudon has stepped foot in America, but there's other people that are similar to Trevor Loudon. We had a woman interviewed on Your Voice America from India. Not only has she never stepped foot in America, but she will never step foot in America. Maybe not. She said, I probably will never be there.
But it wasn't her desire to, hey, I want to be in America.
Oh, I think that she would like to come, but she was fighting hard for American values and ideals and principles and the Constitution. And it was Carrie Kellerman that was actually interviewing her. And Carrie Kellerman said, so why? Why are you fighting so hard for this? And she was like, this is our idea of freedom. What you have done in America, or not even what you've done, what our founders had done, writing the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and all that kind of stuff, is, and they may relate to it too, because they were also subject to the British crown,
right.
With the Gandhi and all that kind of stuff, where they fought against colonialism too. Right. So they can kind of relate. But yeah, they love the idea of our self-government, the liberty, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just us patriots in America. It's freedom-loving people around the world don't like to look at this giant government bureaucracy or a monarchy or just this group of people as the government or as the country, and that we're just all subject to them.
So if you're in England, you voted for Brexit. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you know what? There's people in Britain who are like, man,
I thought we were getting out of this.
I thought we were going to. They're so frustrated. If they were alive 250 years ago, they'd be like, when's the next boat to the new world?
Right.
Telling you, I need to get the hell out of here.
So check this out real quick. This is by ConservativeTreehouse.com. Check it out. They got some great articles. But anyways, the writer goes through this and really picks this part out. And this is kind of the part I want to hammer home, because this really it opens up these FISA warrants as being an absolute critical tool for them and the coup to complete the coup d'etat. They had to complete the coup d'etat, and they got nervous, and the insurance policy had to be put in place.
Okay.
And this is by Carter Page, the insurance policy. And Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Lisa Page, all three working together, including Rod, I am a complete traitor, Rosenstein.
Yeah.
Working all together for the coup d'etat. And the whole goal of Rod Rosenstein and everybody else, the whole goal is to become what Rod Rosenstein is. He is the deputy director of the attorney general. He's a deputy attorney general. He's the head of the Department of Justice. That was their end goal, to own the Department of Justice, have control over that.
Because it was the only thing in America that could have independence from the system of checks and balances, which is why we need to get rid of it. But,
and you got the blackmail of any president. He even said, the undercover agent said, the guy who's the whistleblower said, no, Rod Rosenstein doesn't care who becomes president. He's got dirt on all of them.
So it's kind of like the J. Edgar Hoover situation. That should
where
have
he
been
had dirt on everybody.
Oh, yeah. Well, he ran the whole entire country. He ran the country because he had dirt on everybody, and they thought they solved the problem by putting in term limits for FBI director, because J. Edgar Hoover served, I don't know the exact amount of decades, but it was a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. J. Edgar Hoover was in charge, and he had files on every person of interest to him, which would be somebody who could possibly potentially rise to power, or somebody that already has risen to power, so that he could use them to for his purposes, he would bring him in, get out the old yellow. We need to get a prop. We need to get the yellow envelope with the string on it. And he would undo the string, and he'd pull out the black and whites,
the files,
and he would show them to you, and he would say, your wife could learn of this, or maybe she couldn't, and that's up to you.
Oh, man. See, the ball's in your court.
Yeah, the ball's in your court.
And we're not going to do anything. We're cool.
Now, this is what I need you to sign right here.
That's all. We're good.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You could either have everything, or it could all crash down.
Have nothing.
Yeah. And it could end bad. I mean, nothing. You talk about wife and kids? Gone.
Yeah, your family disrespected. Your whole.
Totally gone.
Well, not only that, but you ain't got a job. Disgraced. Completely disgraced.
And you know what? That's your life.
Right.
Take it or leave it. Hey, do you play ball? Do you play ball? You play ball.
You wind up working in a nightclub like Stormy Daniels this week. Oh, my goodness. Did you know she was in Ohio?
Yeah, I heard.
Okay. Anyway, side note. Sorry about that, folks. Back to the article. Check this out real quick. I just want to read this paragraph, and this kind of opens things up a little bit and shows you how it was all a nothing burger, just like old boy said on CNN when he was undercover for Project Veritas.
James O'Keefe.
Yes. And that CNN reports that it's a nothing burger. That's nothing. And this is why. So, okay, in the article it says, because FISA Title I surveillance authority against a U.S. citizen is so serious, the U.S. government is essentially calling the target a spy. So they have to call Carter Page a spy.
Okay. And they have to make that case and convince the judge that he is, in fact, the spy.
Where you would think they would have to make that case.
I'm saying theoretically.
Okay. That he's a spy. Only a few people are authorized to even apply for such surveillance warrants.
Wow. Okay.
One of the 4 people authorized to make such a filing is the Assistant Attorney General, who is head of the National Security Division of the DOJ. At the time, that person was John P. Carlin, the same John P. Carlin who worked with the FBI counterintelligence unit and conscripted Carter Page as an FBI asset/witness, gained a guilty plea, then turned around 6 months later and accuses their star witness of being a Russian spy.
That's unbelievable. That's diabolical.
It is diabolical.
That is diabolical.
And did you see the interview with Carter Page? He was dumbfounded. He was shocked. Well, I mean, I don't know if he was playing the part, but it didn't even matter if he knew or not.
Was he method acting? I mean,
but it didn't matter if he knew or not, though, because or what he did know or what he didn't know or what level of knowledge he had, because all they had to know is that all he had to do was email everybody in the campaign, screw you, I'm going home and I'm taking my toys with me. And that triggered the level of spying, literally spying on the Trump campaign. Everybody he emailed, the FBI, as per the FISA warrant, could now spy on everybody he emailed and everybody they emailed.
Yeah, here's the thing you need to know about that. If you could imagine an FBI asset whose job is to make connections with people in order to, get data, right? So this is like networking on a massive scale. Imagine like a car salesman or any kind of a salesman. You're always networking with different entities. Imagine now being an FBI agent, right? So let's just say he has 1,000 contacts. And let's just say those contacts are pretty important people. So they have 1,000 contacts. Do the math. That's 1 million contacts that they have access to now, assuming that there's not crossover. Yeah, a million different people. This whole 6 degrees of separation, that's everybody in the whole world.
We'll forget about 6 degrees of separation. Carrie and I mean, we just do this out of our underground bunker. We're just hanging out, just doing this kind of stuff. We run in a couple of people. We meet some friends throughout the years. Mm-hmm. And we literally are 1 degree from Trump.
Yeah. That's why you watch us. You watch us because we have that kind of access.
But by multiple people.
Yeah, so there is some overlap. There's some overlap there.
I mean, for goodness sakes, folks, Dinesh D'Souza sent me a clip. He took time out of his day to make a little shout-out clip for Smith Radio and our good buddy Mike Odioso with the Green Township GOP, and said, hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for hosting my new movie here in Cincinnati. Thumbs up, y'all. And Donald Trump gave him a full pardon.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump called him on the phone. He said he picked the phone up, and an operator came on the phone and said, is this Dinesh D'Souza? And he's like, yes, this is Dinesh. Dinesh, please hold the line for the President of the United States.
Brian wasn't there, but I was at the meeting where our Hamilton County GOP chair, told the story of getting a phone call from Trump. And
really?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Alex Trentafilio.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's a voter for voting for a new Ohio state chairman for the GOP. Well, we had Matt Borges, who had spearheaded the coup d'etat in Ohio 30 days before the general election.
Right.
So we were all outraged, and it was a big scandal, whatever. So Trump decided to get even by hand calling, or having a secretary hand call, each and every one of the voters in Ohio for the Ohio State GOP chair, which was Matt Borges. He was running everybody. He was being challenged by somebody who had no chance of winning. He called all the voters up one by one and asked them to please vote for Jane Timken, who everybody's like, who the heck's that? Well, she was running against Matt Borges. And Alex Trentafilio actually told us the story about how his secretary called and said, would you be available next Wednesday for a call from the president-elect? President-elect at the time.
Okay, Trump, do not put me on hold for a call days away. Don't do that. Don't ruin me.
Well, no, they
call me the same day.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay.
Do
all right.
not tell me I'm going to call you next week, Brian. Do not do that.
Would you be available? Can you give me a day? No, anyway.
No, right now.
So Wednesday rolls around, and she calls, and he was like, man, I'm right in the middle of a dinner.
What?
You hold on a second. He had to run out into the alleyway.
Yeah, let me put my fork down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he took a call from Trump. Trump said, hey, could you go ahead and vote for Jane Timken? Could you do that for me? And he's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And he did. And guess what? Matt Borges was upset, thrown out of there because he organized that coup d'etat.
So the reason why we brought up this whole example and just talking about all of this is because all these people are incestuous in the sense that they all know each other. They work with each other. They know how to keep going. They know that they don't have to send John Brennan an email and tell John Brennan to help with the coup as the head of the CIA.
Isn't Rosenstein's wife like the attorney for Hillary Clinton or something like that? Like, it's totally incestuous.
But he's a Republican, Kerry.
Oh, well, that makes all the difference.
So this last piece from the FISA warrant that I've got down, the FBI and the DOJ obtained one. This is the FISA warrant. Obtained one initial FISA warrant targeting Carter Page, Donald Trump, and 3 FISA renewals from the FISA court. Okay, as required by statute, a FISA order on an American citizen must be renewed by the FISA court every 90 days, and each renewal requires a separate finding of probable cause, which never, ever happened. Okay, I just added that in it. They never added any more for probable cause. Then Director James, I'm an idiot, Comey. James Comey signed 3 FISA applications in question on behalf of the FBI. Deputy Director Andrew McCabe signed one of the FISA requests. Then DAG Sally Yates, the one that Donald Trump fired, she was acting Attorney General for all of 9 days. Donald Trump said, please enforce my travel ban executive order. She said, go pound sand. He said, you're fired. And they went and found Jeff Sessions, which he should now fire. Okay, I digress. Okay, back to the order. Okay, this is coming directly from the FISA release. This is the actual FISA. FISA application in question on behalf of the FBI and Deputy Director Andrew McCabe signed one. The DAG Sally Yates, then acting DAG Dana Bonetti, and DAG Rod Rosenstein, each signed one or more FISA applications on behalf of the Department of Justice to, big picture, zoom out, to spy on the opposition in a presidential election.
Oh, did you hear what Rubio said about this?
Little baby Marco.
Go into your inbox. Go into your inbox. I'm sorry I have to send it as a link to a tweet, but it's what it is. But so Marco Rubio was interviewed by CNN right off the bat. Any Republican that goes on to CNN that isn't prepared to be thrown off in a nasty,
Who's the guy with the gray hair and he's got kind of like a red heavy set and he's got that British accent. He works for Trump. He's gone on there and he destroys them.
Oh, right. Yeah. So anyway, so it's the very top. So Rubio goes on to CNN and defends what the deep state is doing. I'll tell you what, they've got a dossier on Rubio that has so many little children in it. I can't even, I'm telling you, that's the only explanation how a guy who ran on a Tea Party ticket ends up being such a deep state shill.
Well, and when he got with the Gang of Eight and all of that in the back.
I think that's when they originally roofied him.
Oh, during the Gang of Eight.
Because he came out. He went in as this Tea Party America First type person. He didn't say America First, but we felt like he was on the right page. And he comes out like, we need to let everybody in, open borders. Let's have it, put it all on red. Let's go.
What?
Yeah, that was the Gang of Eight. And we were all like, oh my God, what happened to Rubio?
And then just his behavior during the campaign, he was shameless.
Oh, it got bad. Well, yeah, because he ran for president. It was just bad. But he goes on CNN and here's fake yapper. Uh-oh, we got a problem with it?
The president tweeted this morning that the FISA documents, quote, confirm with little doubt that the Department of Justice and FBI misled the courts. Witch hunt rigged, a scam. He also claims that he was, quote, illegally being spied upon for the political gain of crooked Hillary Clinton and the DNC. Is that what the FISA documents?
I have a different view on it. Number one, Carter Page, I'm not claiming that he's James Bond.
That's okay. So the question was very, very interesting. Trump says, you were spying on me, okay? We're pretty clear about that. You don't have to back it up that much because he'll get to it. It's pretty clear to me that Trump was spied on.
Yeah.
The argument they're now trying to make is that, no, look, you weren't spied on just because Carter Page was spied on. And he was in your campaign. He was part of your campaign. We get that. But it wasn't you that was spied on. It was Carter Page. But we know because of the 2 degrees of separation when they spy on the emails,
right,
that this was a total spy job on the entire campaign. And they were using Carter Page to justify it because they couldn't just surveil everybody because then it would be too obvious they're breaking the Fourth Amendment on everybody. Breaking the law. It is the law. The amendments are the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. And so they do the Carter Page thing to kind of give them a little cover. And listen to Rubio respond to the tweet that Trump says criticizing the deep state for spying on him.
One, Carter Page, I'm not claiming that he's James Bond. He's not 007, but he's a guy that even before the campaign, so this is not Trump related, even before the campaign, is a guy that went around the world bragging about his connections in Russia. So they knew who he was before the campaign. Then you see the guy kind of gravitating around a leading campaign. And then other things came up on their screen, and they said, we got to look at this guy.
Okay, hold on. Something that he just said there. He just said Carter Page, everybody knows Carter Page went around the world bragging about his ties with Russia.
He's justifying him being a spy.
Didn't I just say, didn't the FISA warrant just say it shows that Carter Page, just months earlier, was the star witness for the FBI against a Russian spy.
So they flipped it.
But yeah, what?
They were just like, let's just make it happen. Like literally.
So it's your star witness, and you didn't know that he was either deep state Russia, working for Russia, or that he was being groomed by Russia. Either he was working for Russia or he groomed by Russia. You weren't quite sure, but you knew apparently in 2016. But in 2016 early, you didn't know. But now you know.
I hate to be cynical, but it's pretty clear to me that they used what they know of Carter Page to turn him into a Russian spy.
I agree 100%. I agree. Sorry. Okay.
And that's what the FISA application sort of lays out. By the Trump's campaign own admission, Carter Page was not a big player in their campaign. I don't believe that them looking into Carter Page means they were spying on the campaign. I also don't believe it proves anything about collusion or anything like that. I think Carter Page was one of these guys that we never would have heard of him before all of this. But he was a guy that was on their screen even before the campaign. And when he comes...
Yeah, of course he was on the screen. He was a witness. He was an asset. Of course he was on the...
Into kind of the near orbit of a campaign, they get interested when they put that together with what's happening with Russian interference. And that's why they looked at him. I don't think it's part of any broader plot. The only plot here is the plot to interfere in our elections by the Russians.
So as far as you know, and you're a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, the surveillance was justified.
Yeah, I don't think they did anything wrong. I think they went to the court. They got the judges to approve it. They laid out all the information, and there was a lot of reasons unrelated to the dossier for why they wanted to look at Carter Page. And Carter Page was not a key member of the Trump campaign, and the Trump campaign has said that.
So,
President tweet.
So why didn't... Okay, so I got my first question for you, Kerry.
Yeah.
If Carter Page is not a key witness, or it's not... Sorry, I'm on the witness stand. If Carter Page was not a key player in the Trump campaign...
Which he may not have been that... Like
Trump said he wasn't. Trump said he wasn't. He's a low-level
Rubio was
volunteer.
Clearly separating. Rubio was trying to maintain some sort of credibility by separating Trump from Carter Page, but he was sent to this interview by the FBI to justify the spying on Carter Page.
He's running interference.
And he's trying to kill two birds with one stone. He doesn't want to go out there and make it obvious that he's a shill for the deep state. So he throws out there, well, I don't think this proves collusion. I don't think that this shows any kind of complicit behavior of Trump, because we all know that he wasn't a big player. So he was just killing two birds with one stone here. He was trying to stay out of trouble with Trump supporters.
I think he's trying to kill three birds with one stone, and also give him validity for why FBI should be did no wrong.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I think that's why I think the FBI sent him there.
Okay, hold on.
Clearly,
hold on. Let's zoom back out again.
Hey, Rubio, don't make me pull out the yellow envelope. Don't make me pull that yellow envelope out.
Little Marco, if you're going down that road, then I got one question. Here's a follow-up question, Jake. Jake Tapper, that's blocked me on Twitter.
Fake yapper.
Fake yapper. Got me blocked on Twitter because he can't take it no more. Too much heat coming from Smith
You're not
Radio.
even like a really like you're not a nasty troll.
No. Yeah.
For him to block you is just proof that they are not journalists. But anyway.
No. So follow-up question, Marco. Okay, if the FBI did nothing wrong and Carter Page low level and Trump no collusion, then why did Peter Strzok and Lisa Page collude with the Attorney General, or the Deputy Attorney General, Andrew McCabe, and James Comey to file an insurance against Trump? And this was the insurance. And the dossier, no, make no bones about it, Mr. Little Rubio. The dossier, there is nothing extra. There is no other extra evidence that has ever been given.
Andrew McCarthy said that. Andrew McCarthy said there was nothing but the dossier.
Right. And Little Marco just said they had plenty on him to look. Now, Little Marco.
No,
Lil
that's
Marco,
a lie.
Yes, 100% lie. The dossier, bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, Fusion GPS, arranged it with Christopher Steele, who the FBI knew was a bad dude. They paid him, then they got rid of him, And what are we talking about? It's all it was Pete. Go back, folks. Rewind, flashback Sunday. We're talking about Donald Trump. And if you got young kids in the room, I promise I'll be very delicate. The dossier says Donald Trump went to Russia, rented the room that Obama and Mike stayed in. Big Mike and Obama.
Oh,
Big Mike and Obama stayed in this hotel, really ritzy presidential suite. Donald Trump rented the same room and also rented women of the night and then engaged in
like Catwoman?
They could be dressed up like Catwoman if that's
Role
what
playing.
he desired.
Okay,
sure.
Right. Yep.
Chains, whips, ball gags, and all of a sudden, golden showers.
They used the room as a kitty litter box.
Yes. This is what the dossier says.
Right. Absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Zero evidence.
Bruce Orr, the dude who got the dossier to the FBI as well, got another copy. Where did he get his copy from? He got his copy from an employee of Fusion GPS. How do you know this employee? He wakes up with her every morning.
Oh, my goodness.
It's his wife. It's his wife. Bruce Orr is in all of this together. Folks, this is the coup that was supposed to sink this country into 1,000 years of darkness.
Well, it would have been. Look, we needed one more Democrat after Obama to secure communism for eternity in America. At least 1,000 years of darkness. We would have gone into another dark. America is the shining light on the hill, and there is only one light on that hill.
It would have put that light out for 1,000 years.
It would have been like the Roman Empire falling, and then when does civilization come back? I mean, it was.
And this is not hyperbole. This is not. I'm just not willy-nilly throwing this out. Look at the players that would still have been in play. John Brennan, the head of the CIA, would still be the head of the CIA. James Comey, head of the FBI, would still be the head of the FBI. Andrew McCabe, still a deputy to James Comey. Sally Yates, fired now for being dirty. She would still be Attorney General.
I don't understand why people are like, yeah, but Brian, the rank and file, man, Why are we – this is just enabling. Stop it. Stop this enabling. You're saying that we need to have a department, a system that includes a department that allows this kind of corruption and abuse because my rank and file. It's like, no, we don't need to justify a system that allows for this because the rank and file. When it comes to intelligence communities, the individual branches of the military,
right?
Your Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, they have their own intelligence communities. And as far as the FBI is concerned, now CIA, we can replace those with the various intelligence communities of the military.
Ultimate goal.
I'm so sorry.
And as far as the FBI is concerned, it needs to be toned down massively. All right. We have state governments with state police. We have local police, county sheriffs. We have municipal police. If you need something where bootlegging happens across state lines, so we need a federal government agency.
Right.
That's fine. We could have something that helps to combat interstate, law breaking. But it needs to be toned down massively, right? I mean, if, for instance, the war on drugs, the California says we do not want federal agents in here enforcing federal law banning marijuana, and we're not going to help them, we're not going to welcome them, and in fact, we're going to be adversarial to them. Well, why not just leave them alone and let them have their damn pot? I don't really care.
Right.
Here you practically have the federal government at war with a state government.
All state, well,
because
not all,
but
almost all.
Yeah, and the state doesn't agree with a federal law. Well, maybe the law shouldn't be a federal law.
Well, even Ohio has. I didn't realize this until a few months back. But Ohio, it's medical marijuana is in Ohio.
Yeah, I don't know when that happened because just a couple of years ago,
they shot it down.
Nick Lachey was trying to start up a giant pot operation. Remember that multi-billion-dollar pot operation with several other people and turn it into a monopoly in Ohio, and it got shot down. And as far as I was concerned, I thought that meant that Ohio was going to continue to be a prohibition state, which I'm actually okay with a state being prohibiting whatever they want. But to have the federal government prohibiting it, I think, has been a proven failure. War on drugs, prohibition of alcohol during the teens and the 20s was a total failure. And so I think that this needs to be toned down. The FBI needs to be toned way back. I think it needs to be totally rebranded. I think an entirely new federal agency needs to be employed, revamped from the ground up, so that with the idea that this kind of abuse needs to never happen again, period.
Yeah, this kind of abuse never needs to happen again either. That needs to go back in the woods. For those of you...
She in pajamas?
For those of you, audio only, we're witnessing right now, yesterday Hillary Clinton showed up to something called Ozzy Fest.
What?
OZY Fest. It's a freak show. It really is. It's a freak show of freaks. And apparently it's a concert that goes off for a couple days in in New York somewhere. She shows up to talk. She looks like death warmed over. She looks like Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's.
I'm looking at her hairdo right now, and
disheveled.
Well, you know what it looks like? It looks like an 80-year-old woman tried to look like a 20-year-old, and hairdo-wise.
Right.
Like her hair looks a little bit too nice for a woman of her age. Maybe not nice, but in a style that's not appropriate to her age. I think it'd be a little bit more age appropriate. And the dress?
She's clearly wearing, straight out of the books of Home Improvement, a curtain.
Okay, like a shower curtain,
a giant. It's the blackout curtains you use because you don't want to see through that.
Oh, yeah, it's not see-through. But
you can see through that shower curtain. But this is a blackout giant, the biggest, ugliest moo-moo dress I've ever seen.
Well, it's hanging off of her. And I don't know if everybody has similar experiences as I do, but my great-grandma wore something like this every single morning. Like, this was her nightgown.
Right. This needs to go away. You realize
you don't
how
walk
close
out of the house like that.
You realize how close we were to her showing up on Putin's doorstep wearing that?
Just thinking that she could have been our president is so scary.
Yes, very scary. Hey, let's get into some. I got so many clips. Let's get into some of these Russian Putin clips real quick. Here's since we're talking about the as Dinesh refers to her, crooked old hag. As we're talking about Hillary Clinton, he said, I don't know if it was a tweet or something he said, but he said the media couldn't even drag the crooked old hag across the finish line.
Yeah, that would have been too tough.
Okay. Talking about Russian collusion, the whole Russia thing, Russiagate, and Donald Trump's epic journey to Russia this week. This is flashback on Hillary Clinton and Russia.
I mean, we want very much to have a strong Russia because a strong, competent, prosperous, stable Russia is, we think, in the interest of the world.
No video, just audio.
Interesting choice of picture there. Okay.
It wasn't me. It was a little bit of a glitch. No, but she's claiming that she needs a strong and stable Russia.
Okay, and isn't that what roundabout way we find out that that's what Trump is trying to do?
Yes.
Didn't he offer to provide aid to Russia? That's so treasonous. It's treasonous.
Well, apparently Germany is purchasing all kinds of energy from Russia at the same time that the world is paying the United Nations money to protect Germany from Russia.
Right, and that's the
Come
problem.
on, man.
What about the NATO? Guys, NATO, get with the history. If you don't know history, then this is all going to be so confusing to you. You're probably like, we have the United Nations. What the hell is NATO? Well, it turns out that during the Cold War, it was we noticed that there was a thing called the domino effect, where the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, Soviet Union, was taking over, sort of, annexing is probably the wrong word for it, but they were taking over countries and turning them into communist countries.
Right.
And they called that the Soviet bloc, which would be not necessarily the Soviet Union, but a country that was considered under the
Soviet
control,
rule.
control of Soviet Union. So they called it part of the Soviet bloc. And it was very worrisome for all the Western countries that didn't want to be under the control of the Soviet Union or under the rule of any kind of a socialist or communist government. So NATO was formed in order to get all the non-Soviet countries to band together to prevent this from happening to them. And some of the language in there is, hey, if any attack whatsoever comes to any of the member nations of NATO, will be an attack on all of us, and we will all come to the aid and defend that country. Well, isn't that a little obsolete? Well, I don't think we're having a domino problem today. We don't even have a Soviet Union problem today. It's ridiculous.
We need to get rid of this.
And this whole idea of, well, what about Ukraine and Crimea and all that? You know what this would be like? Okay, go ahead.
Obama gave Russia Crimea. Obama allowed Russia to take Crimea.
Right. And you know what this would be like? Nobody's made this argument before, so I'm going to make it so you can put it in your brain housing group.
Okay.
That's what we called it in the military, the brain housing group.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and put it there. Nobody's making this argument. I think it's very important to really think about what it means when we talk about Crimea, when we talk about Ukraine. These are Russian-speaking countries. They were part of the Soviet Union at one point. This would be like right after the Civil War ended, Florida and Louisiana just became their own country. And after Civil War's totally over, we reunite except for Louisiana and Florida. They just became their own countries.
No. Well, if you did that, then you'd have to have some kind of agreement of sorts.
English speaking.
Yeah.
They're pretty much consider themselves now, they might enjoy their independence from the United States or whatever, but these are people that would have been Americans at one point or, United States citizens. And there's a good chance. I mean, think about it. Just use your imagination. Wouldn't it be understandable if it's possible that at some point Louisiana and Florida would want to say, yeah, let's go ahead and join back up?
Yeah, it'd be easier for us.
Now, imagine, if you will, that Russia started meddling and giving weapons to Floridians and Louisianians. I guess that's their name. I don't know if that's what they're called.
I'm good.
Started giving them weapons, AK-47s, to start firing at United States citizens, United States military, and say,
oh, we'd have to crush that. You'd have to stomp that out.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Now, I'm not saying that all Ukrainian citizens or whatever they're called over there, all want to just join back up with Russia.
They don't. I know a woman from the Ukraine.
All right,
she loathes.
And just like there would be Floridians and Louisianians, but for us to have so much of an involvement in what they're going through, I think is a little bit insulting. Could you imagine if Russia?
Because they're not adult enough to figure out their own situation.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So they need America to step in and help them figure it out. No, I'm just saying. No, I don't think so. I think they could do it on their own. I really do.
You're speaking on behalf of the Democrats.
Yeah. That part of it. No, they don't carry. They can't govern themselves.
They're just chitlins.
We need to intervene and get more money from Putin, like $400 million.
Here's what I think it is. It is their attempt to try to reunify their old country, not the Soviet Union. Soviet Union was about communism. That is what the problem what the Soviet Union was. It wasn't that they're so big and they have so many different countries as a part of their bloc. That wasn't the problem. That wasn't why we didn't like them. See, liberals are so simple-minded. They're like, they're big, they're bullies, they're strong. We need to knock them down to size.
They're afraid of everything.
They're men, they're burly men. You know the war on men is because we're generally stronger, bigger. We're on average. I'm not saying that all men are larger, stronger than all women. I mean, I work with...
I'm going to shoot it up there in the 90 percentile.
Well, yeah. I mean, I work with a guy that's like, gosh, he's like 4'11".
Double soy latte with an
No,
extra shot
I'm
of
not
protein.
saying that he's soy based, but I'm just saying he's a small guy and he doesn't look that strong. And I also work with a woman that's like twice his height and a stallion, man. She looks like she will punch me right out. I'll be on the ground. I'll be dead, right? Wow. So, but on average, your average man is just more powerful. And I think that the idea that the underdog has to get a boost and the guy that's favored or the woman that's favored or the entity that's favored, the country that's favored, we need to knock them down to size. Just the idea that they could be so strong automatically makes them the bully. And we all know what bullies are. They're evil and they're bad. That's why they hate America.
Right.
So that being said, the idea that Russia has to be the enemy, especially if they're going to try to become more vast geographically or whatever, is just ignorant liberal crap.
Well, not only that, but that plays into the Russia collusion narrative. That's why they're going nuts. That's why they can't stop talking about it. That's why John Brennan is calling Donald Trump treasonous, right. Which treason if you're accused and found guilty, you could be sentenced to death.
Real quick before you play this clip, just to bolster my argument, a Breitbart article came out this morning that made the argument. The author Virgil, which I guess there's an author for Breitbart who goes by a single name, kind of like Madonna or Prince or whatever. So his name's Virgil, and he wrote, guys, you guys don't know what Trump's trying to do here. He's trying to ally with Russia against China.
Yeah.
And that's so the idea that if you're a dumb liberal, which sometimes they watch our show, but a lot of times not. But if you're a dumb liberal that is watching the show and is like, you shouldn't be teaming up with other big entities and it ends up being a big bully fest. Guys, if you're worried about knocking the big dog down the size, who has the biggest population? China. China's a massive,
We've
massive
talked about
country.
this before. China could start using a trebuchet, launching
human bodies
at us, and we would run out of bullets.
If they and they do have a massive navy, by the way, and way bigger than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They are building. They got their massive military, but their human resources are greater than anything outside of India. They're greater than India. They're massive, and like you said, they could just do a tsunami of humanity at us, and we wouldn't have enough bullets to stop them.
Right? They could go cheap. I'm fascinated with the trebuchet.
Oh, okay.
Just go cheap. Just build a whole bunch of wooden ones. Just start launching people.
I could see it.
Wouldn't be much money at all.
If they were to build amphibious vehicles that would enable them to launch a big enough amphibious assault on our beaches,
I'd be all over it.
We would have to use tactical nukes to stop them.
And you'd be fallout.
We'd have to clean up afterwards.
So Donald Trump tweeted out, he said, the summit with Russia was a great success, except the real enemy of the people, the fake news media.
Yeah.
I look forward to our second meeting so that we can start implementing some of the many things discussed, including stopping terrorism, security for Israel.
He ran on this.
Nuclear proliferation. Sorry. Cyber attacks, trade, Ukraine, Middle East peace, North Korea, and more. There are many answers, some easy, some hard, to these problems, but they can all be solved.
And only Trump could do it. I hate to say that because there's other people that could do it.
But Trump's a problem solver.
Yes, he's a pragmatic problem solver is what we've called him. He ran on this stuff. And by the way, I got a lot of crap from there's a liberal. He's a journalist. And he writes sports, I think, for some of the area newspapers around here. And I get into it with him on Facebook all the time. If you follow me on Facebook, you probably see me go back and forth with this guy. But I have respect for him, so I try to keep it civil. I always win the debates because I'm on the winning side. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with him. He's a very smart guy.
This is the winning team, is this side.
Yeah, I mean, these arguments have already been hashed out. Conservatism wins.
And I'm seeing these millennials coming back and I'm like, wow, we was raised with Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
I mean, kids.
Even anti-Trumpers like Ben Shapiro knows all the arguments and knows how to go straight for the win. And even though I can't stand his never-Trumper attitude, when it comes to defending conservatism, Ben does it easily every time because these are all battles that have all been fought, and we're just rehashing. But anyway, so I made this argument, and he went in full meltdown mode. I said, people, Donald Trump's summit meeting with Putin, the way he treated Putin, the way he acted towards him, everything about that in his behavior was almost identical to his meeting with Kim Jong-un. And nobody said, it was all praise. It was all, where is the Nobel Peace Prize? When it came to the way he treated Kim Jong-un with respect and very nice. He was very nice to him. He's praising him. He was doing all this stuff. He did the exact same thing to Putin, and all of a sudden it's treason. We need to impeach him. But here's the thing. When I said that comparison, it was full meltdown. They were like, no, he did not. I haven't had this conversation with Brian yet, but do you see where I'm coming from?
I agree with you 100%.
He treated him the same.
Not only that, but I was taken back because all I've seen of Putin is bare-chested on a fishing expedition, bare-chested
on the horse,
and Obama on the back with his bicycle helmet.
Yeah,
I've seen that. Okay, I have never seen Trump stand next to Putin. When I did, clearly, Putin is a small man.
Well, into his defense,
clearly,
in his defense, Trump's pretty tall.
That's okay.
6'3".
It's okay though. Here's the thing.
6'3", I think.
Here's the thing.
They say 6'2", probably.
There was an absolute I mean, I think that Putin had a little bit of man crush on him.
I think that they like each other.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any personal animosity in the sense, Gary, Brian, how dare you guys are making the case for Russian collusion.
You know, it's funny. Have you ever heard some of the speeches or maybe not speeches, but interviews with Putin that are just randomly out there? He sounds like somebody that could be a commentator on like a Breitbart or a...
Sure.
Like... He's like, you guys need to watch out for the New World Order and all that. Like, I'm not kidding. I mean, this guy is kind of on the same page as Trump, and that has nothing. Look, he's making America great again.
Right.
Trump is.
Right.
Period. I mean, somebody had a meme that actually cracked me up. I can't find it quick enough to just read it right now, but it was titled Putin's Takeover of America, and it was a checklist. And it was all the checklist items were all of Trump's accomplishments, and it was all making America great again. And it was titled Putin's Takeover of America or something like that. And I was just like, this is actually pretty hilarious because if Putin really is just the puppet master of Trump,
he's really giving us a hookup.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to credit Putin for making America great? I mean, what are we doing? What are we talking about here?
So we've got Adam Pencil Neck Geek Schiff.
Oh, gosh, he is so bad.
He wanted to know what Trump and Putin were talking about in closed doors. This is where the treason came from all week. What were they talking about behind closed doors? This is treasonous. This is collusion. But yet they never said anything about him and Kim Jong-un like that. But I digress. So Schiff said, I want the interpreter subpoenaed. And I want him to spill his guts.
I think the Constitution is pretty clear that the President of the United States, you know, our founders intended for our president to have way more power than the last couple of presidents have exercised, and way more power than the media will admit that they actually have. And like, for instance, Trump's travel ban was easily held up in court.
Oh, yeah.
The opinion was, this is what the president totally has wide latitude on.
It's his job.
It's his job.
Yeah, it's his job.
Very wide latitude on immigration policy. When it comes to going behind closed doors and having meetings with I mean, what do you think a phone call from the Oval Office is? I mean, they talk to world leaders and they'll have a meeting. Now, maybe there's somebody in there stenographing the whole thing, but it's neither here nor there. The point is that this is totally, completely allowable by
it's encouraged,
our Constitution.
It is encouraged
right.
that our president of the great United States make contact and hopefully successfully work some kind of peaceful agreement out with the second largest nuke holder in the world.
What are they afraid of anyway, Brian? I mean, the only
I'll tell you what they're afraid of.
Yeah, what are they afraid of?
They're afraid of Donald Trump being the most successful president in all of American history.
Yeah, that's true. But think about it. Let's ignore the complete Trump derangement syndrome that is happening. I mean, it's an epidemic.
TDS is all out.
It's an epidemic. Let's ignore that for a second, and let's just put our imagination caps on. Let's just say that it's not Trump. Like, we like Trump, but we're biased for him. But the people that are biased against him are deranged. They're completely insane. Yes. Totally. But let's just say it's just a random person, John Doe, President Doe. So President Doe is having a meeting with any world leader, or just say he's having a meeting with an executive staff member or a department head, and it's behind closed doors. Don't we understand executive privilege?
Apparently they don't.
Well, but we understand President Doe has executive privilege.
Correct. You
add Trump into it, and all of a sudden it's like, we can't trust him. But let's talk about an enemy, a Putin. And Putin maybe you're biased against Putin. Maybe it's President whatever, President X from some country that we may end up in a war with. What is there to worry about? I know. Let's use real world. Let's say Reagan and Gorbachev. Reagan and Gorbachev. What's the worst case scenario? If they come out and they're both all smiles, and we never know what the hell was talked about, isn't that good enough that they came out with smiles on their faces?
And then maybe one day we could have more peace around the world.
If they come out with smiles on their faces, I mean, there's only so much you can demand to know about what happened in there. You should be happy that two guys came out that are capable of saying, I'm going to push my red button. What are you going to do? Oh, you're going to push your red button? All right. Have a nice day. They could do that.
Boom.
But they come out and they both have smiles on their faces.
Right.
Okay. The only thing we have to worry about is if they come out stomping out of there. With the smoke coming up out of there,
ties all undone, hair's disheveled, like they were wrestling in there, or
and
something.
They both come out at separate times and they run off in separate directions.
Right.
That would be cause for concern.
Yeah.
Because that didn't happen, though. What the hell are they worried about? I'm serious.
The only thing they're worried about is they're worried about the deep state being found out, uncovered. All these people that are still working in the government positions of the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, all y'all, Rosenstein and all, that are still working for the deep state. You all going to be found out. You all going to pay some kind of price, whether it's here on Earth or in the afterlife. You're going to pay somewhere, somehow, sometime.
But the fact that they're still in power, though, is problematic right now. It's an existential crisis is what we're dealing with here because they are still in power.
And so Donald Trump becoming extremely successful here in America is got them rattled to the core. Now Donald Trump is extending that success to other countries?
Oh, that's treason.
It is treason. So,
also, could you understand this argument? I'm sure it just popped in my head as you were saying this. isn't this really that? Why has it got to be Trump and not Clinton in there?
Yes.
We need to.
Yes, Clinton.
We can't stand for this. He's not our president. The fact that he's in there, this is what it is, folks. This is what it is. The fact that he's in there when he's not supposed to be a president at all is what the problem is. That's what the problem is.
The problem is that I'm president, not emperor. The problem is Trump is president, not Clinton.
Well,
That's
right.
the problem.
That's the problem. That is their problem. My gosh, I think we stumbled on the answer here, folks. We beat it up. We beat every corner of it down to size, and I think we have come up with it. Hashtag whatever you want it to be, but the answer is that the problem is that it's Trump in there acting like he's president or something.
When Hillary could be riding this great wave of...
she should be.
She should be riding this great economic boom wave.
Not only that she should be, but she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's not
is the problem.
Is a problem, but
it's a constitutional crisis.
It is. It's a major problem. The fact that he was in there acting like a president is treasonous. He is impersonating a president, and there's laws against that.
And imagine impersonating a police officer.
Yeah, that's illegal. Get you? Oh yeah, you can't impersonate a FBI agent.
Well, you can,
Secret
but you're going to get in a
Service.
lot of trouble.
Right,
Yeah.
and he's in there masquerading around as if he legitimately won the presidency when we know good and damn well that the only reason he was able to win it was because of all of the intervention and meddling done by the man himself that he was in there illegitimately having a meeting with. We need to get rid of him. Impeachment tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I just summed it up right there.
And I can't believe I haven't said it one single time this whole show. Helsinki. I just like that word.
Yeah.
Helsinki.
It's not heaven. It's Helsinki.
Helsinki. So, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, phenomenal. Just a beautiful, phenomenal, strong woman.
Yeah, and I love that press conference she gave where she had to explain to these people.
They came out swinging from the rails. I don't have the clip of it, but one of the
what is wrong with you?
One of the reporters, because I got too many other clips. One of the reporters
you got a lot of them,
was coming at her and she see, Trump hasn't done anything to curb Putin, nothing. And she's like, hold on a second. Okay, I was ready for your question. I got this list out.
I got a list.
She went off the rails on a list. It was boom, boom, one after, and then she discussed it and explained it. So just real quick. 7 ways Trump has been tough on Russia despite wild charges of treason.
Okay.
This is by Breitbart News. That's why I read them. Number 1, sanctions. Donald Trump's putting sanctions on Russia. 2, Russian diplomats and intelligence officers have been expelled.
Real quick on that, that wasn't an Obama thing? Because I remember when that went down, I was just like, what the hell's going on here? Was that?
Yeah, Trump has done it as well.
Okay.
Yep, Trump has done it as well.
I remember not being happy about it.
Right.
Because that's the opposite of dialogue. You need diplomats in order to have a dialogue. But anyway.
Right. So cybersecurity, they've stepped up cybersecurity, working against that because apparently during Obama's reign, my analogy, if you've got termites in your house and you don't do nothing.
That's 2 negatives. Is it double negative? You want a single negative. You don't do anything.
If you don't do the steps needed.
There we go.
To do something.
Right. That's right.
They're going to eat you out of house and home. Okay?
They're going to eat you out of house and home.
Right.
All right.
So Obama didn't do nothing.
Oh, it's a double negative.
So Obama didn't do what he was supposed to do. He just didn't even care. I mean, we were hacked. We were hacked by China. All these breaches of security. We knew it during the administration. They came out, and the media just swept them under the rug, and that was it and all over with. So Trump stepping up cybersecurity. Trump enforcing arms control violations. Trump stopping weapons. Something to do with weapons to Ukraine. What was that all about? Anyways, it had something to do with weapons to Ukraine. Donald Trump enforcing the red line in Syria. Trump approved pre-summit indictments. Trump approved indictments against Russian officials before the summit. Come on, man, what are we talking about here? Or is he just doing all these things to just make it look like he's tough?
Yeah,
Really
I'll tell you
tough.
what, the Syria thing was big. That was the first big thing that happened where everybody was like, you call that a Russian puppet? Because people, I mean, it's well known that Syria is like the lapdog of Russia as far as their interaction and trade and relationship.
Right.
And it would be, I mean, it would almost be like Putin, I don't know, who's a good ally of ours, if he just decided to bomb Australia or something like that, would you? Or Japan.
Or Israel.
Or Israel or something like that. So it's kind of like a slap in the face. And that was something where everybody was like, well, I guess Russian collusion's off the table. And that was a million years ago. Right. And totally everybody was like, we're not going to lose our narrative.
So something else I just was reminded of, Donald Trump and Putin both agreed to curb Iran's involvement in Syria and Iran's push towards Israel, and to help protect Israel, give Israel a little bit more protection and back off and get Iran out of there. Putin was good with that. Just all kinds of great things came out of this thing. So Matt Gaetz.
I like him.
Sorry,
Oh,
not Matt
whoops.
Gaetz. Poll Republicans overwhelmingly support Trump's Putin press conference.
That's the opposite of what...
79% said we approve. 18% say we disapprove. 3% undecided, which means 82% of the Republicans polled, who self-identified as Republicans, said they did not disagree with the meeting. 82% did not disagree with the meeting.
That's so weird because just this morning, Yahoo had right on the top of their page pretty much the exact opposite article with their own poll, or they were citing a poll, probably a liberal poll. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to believe these numbers, but let's just say hypothetically that there's something to this. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling down Yahoo, and they have decided we need to get rid of this article. I mean, so I'm gonna defer back to Brian's reporting there.
Okay.
Because I don't see it.
Okay, just a couple other real quick things because we're running out of time. Matt Gaetz, Peter Strzok's text on opening a case while McCabe was FBI director related to Russia. Both Page and Strzok played key roles. Both on the Clinton email Trump-Russia investigation. Page served as legal counsel to McCabe and as his liaison to Clinton email and Trump-Russia investigation teams. She would then go on to work for special counsel team for 2 months before her assignment there ended. Lisa Page testified behind closed doors today, and the end result of that was Lisa Page looks to be turning on Peter Strzok and walking away. I scoped about it this week, and thank you guys for correcting me on that. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Oh, boy.
And I believe Lisa Page is that woman. She contradicted.
Put yourself in her shoes.
She contradicted Peter Strzok multiple times, and she's willing to work with it. Rumors are she will get immunity for her testimony. Keep your fingers crossed. We'll see. And lastly, the redhead, the ginger, the Russian ginger, a second one. The first one that met with Don Trump Jr., she was barred from the UK and barred from ever entering into America.
Except when used by the Democrats to collude with them to undermine a campaign against them.
Thank you, Parit Barar, for the one-way or the round-trip ticket freebie get-out-of-jail card that you signed off on to allow her to go to the Trump hotel and then go back home.
Wow. How are people not going to jail for this stuff?
Okay, so then now there's a woman, Maria Butina, who was, and this we reported on this a long time ago, Carrie. Remember when the Democrats were saying that the NRA is colluding with Russia. Russian spies.
Oh, right, I remember that.
That was a while ago, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, they've come up with proof.
Oh, boy.
Maria Butina, deep state. She was involved, like she worked her way involved into the NRA, got pictures with the head of the NRA, hobnobbing, rubbing elbows. Folks, if you donate enough money to the NRA or to any nonprofit, the head of the nonprofit will take pictures with you. I promise.
Yeah, for $1,500 back in 2004, I mean, anybody in Cincinnati could have got a picture with Dick Cheney. You only need $1,500, which that's a lot of money. But it was a dinner fundraiser for Dick Cheney. And after you're done, they all lined up one at a time and got a picture with him. You could be a Democrat and do that.
Yeah, and you could say afterwards, hey, I was a Russian spy. Look, I got in there. What's up?
You could actually be a Russian spy and have that.
Right. So there are a lot of pictures coming out. So now they're trying to push this narrative that this redhead is the redhead that was in the White House. In the White House, and a picture was taken with her in the very background. And so they're saying, see, look, the Russian spies in the White House.
It was sent by the Democrats.
Yes, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders said, y'all really got Trump derangement syndrome because that redhead in the White House is a completely different person. Look, side-by-side pictures. Different person. And so the guy
wasn't even the same person?
The person who tweeted it out, a leftist on Twitter, retracted the picture, said, oh, my bad.
So it's all completely fake news.
It's all fake news this week.
Oh, my goodness.
So now, coming out, the deep state, FBI, knew 3 to 4 years in advance. They knew that Maria Butina was a Russian spy trying to get involved in the NRA. A congressman got into it and wanted to find out what they knew, when they knew, and he found out, and the FBI said, oh, yeah, we know about her. Yeah, we've known her since 2014. Yeah, we've known about her. Yeah, we got it.
And I get it,
How does the FBI not give the NRA a heads up?
Well, they may be just monitoring her and want to see what she's doing and try to basically build a case with her.
Or they want to build a case and say, see, look, the NRA's in with Russia too.
Right. What ends up happening, like what Brian just concluded, which is that if you have a corrupt FBI like we know we have, they end up using that to harm the opposition, the political opposition during election time, which is what the problem is with America right now, is that this stuff is going unpunished. And they knew it when Obama was president. They knew it would go unpunished because even if they were to get busted by anybody, they would just get pardoned by Obama. And then when they realized that Hillary was going to win presidency,
right,
that they were going to be able to continue to do this, and they doubled down. And they decided, well, if we want to keep this train rolling, we're going to have to really sink our teeth in deep. And we're really going to have to go all out and make sure that she wins. So we need to pull out all the stops. We know we can do this, so we're going to do it, right, and we're going to defeat Trump. We're going to have at least 4, probably 8 more years of a Democrat, Hillary, who not only would sign off on all of our law breaking, but probably encourage it and help us to do it even more. And hopefully by the end of her term, we'll have a full-blown communist regime where we can abolish the presidency and have her be the ruler for life, and she can hand it down to Chelsea. And
we can abolish states' rights too. Just make it all one federal government.
Right, the whole thing centralized, and it'll just be a communist nation. And this is, I honestly, based on what we've seen since Trump's been elected, seems like this might have been what their mentality was at the time. And some of us older folk are probably like, they can't be that stupid naive, but your Democrat regimes tend to be loaded with young whippersnappers,
right,
your early 20-year-olds, and they think, they're just invincible and all this kind of stuff. And they think that the way it is the way it always will be.
Right.
That they have made the changes and that everybody's on the same page with them. They're delusional, and that this stuff is not going to have any kind of a reaction where people are going to snap back and say, no, we're going to put an end to this, because there are wise people out there who know the problems with communism and socialism and are conservative, and they know, based on a proper upbringing by good parents, that this conservatism, this philosophy, is the right way to go about life. It's the right way to run a government. It's the right way to have liberty and freedom, and they can see it being eroded by these young whippersnappers in charge.
Right.
And they come out in droves and vote for the Republican, which in this case was Trump.
Absolutely.
It could have been anybody if they had won. I don't know, man.
Doesn't matter. Bush 2.
Jeb Bush. If Jeb Bush would have won the primary and then went on to win it, they would have had to rely on the manila envelope.
Well, not only that, but Jeb Bush would have done it, pulled a Mitt Romney. He would never have allowed
threw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Bushes are pretty ambitious.
It's just like
But they would have allowed it.
Yes.
They would have allowed a Bush, just like they allowed George Bush. They allowed, because when that whole vote debacle in 2000 was over and Bush was officially the winner, they were cool. They were all right. They fought a little bit. They gave him a little bit of crap, and then 9/11 happened, and they were like, "Oh, y'all made that happen?"
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't.
And then they saw how much money he was giving them.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
it was cool.
Yeah, everything was cool because that's what we started the show off with.
Right.
Uniparty.
Right. And so Donald Trump tweeted out, so many people at the higher ends of intelligence loved my press conference performance in Helsinki. Putin and I
love that word, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Putin and I discussed many important subjects at our earlier meeting. We got along well, which is truly bothered by many haters who wanted to see a boxing match. Yeah. Big results will come. And this by Nolte, who writes for Breitbart News. Helsinki is one of Trump's finest moments. Nolte wrote an article, and it says, the title of the article is, one of Trump's finest moments, the refusal to submit to media blackmail.
What, did he explain how he's?
Well, the media is trying to blackmail Trump into walking away from a possible get together and make the tensions better, make world peace.
You know what the sad part of it is? It's not like they're pressuring him to be enemies with Putin because there's something about Russia that they just hate so much that they want us to not be nice to them. And no, it's that if Trump is nice to him, that this confirms their belief that he's an illegitimate president and that he is only there because Putin made it happen. And that's why they're freaking out about it. So they're willing to go to full-blown war with Russia just to save the narrative.
Oh.
That is the key to party over country.
It's funny you say that. This is another article, titled the article, Democrats, Establishment Media Push War with Russia.
Right. It's important for their narrative.
Yeah. Representative Steve Cohen melts down and defends his tweet calling for a military coup.
Yes.
That's that's an elected official doubling down on calling for the military to overthrow the sitting president.
He basically said, where is the military on this? He actually left his tweet with that question, where is the military on this? It was a very obvious suggestion that he would like to see the military just march right into the White House and say, I know you're in the Secret Service, but you need to stand down because we totally overpower you right now. So just step aside and we're going to go and arrest him right now. Military coup completed, and that's what he was calling for. When called out by Jack Posobiec, he responded with, no, I'm not. I swear. That was his whole tweet. His entire tweet response to Jack Posobiec calling him out for a military coup was, no, I'm not. And I was like, this is about as clear as it comes.
Go get you another soy latte with an extra shot of
He
protein.
sounded like a 5-year-old that was caught with his hand elbow deep in the cookie jar.
Man, the opinion piece by Wayne Allen Root, Russian collusion by Saul Alinsky. Alinsky was a radical Marxist strategist and community organizer. Mm-hmm. Who does that sound
I have
like?
a friend that was trained on Alinsky tactics.
we know Obama was.
Yes.
His leading weapons were weapons of mass distraction, misinformation, radical protest, and blaming the other guy for whatever the liberal politician or activist, are guilty of.
That's called projection.
That by townhall.com. There's another website that you need to check out, folks.
We need to educate people on projection. If you've been watching us for a long time, we've had like an hour-long discussion on projection. I've actually hinted about writing an entire textbook explaining projection, especially in a political sense. Notice how they had to actually write that out.
Right.
That blaming the other guy for what it is that you're doing. If just shorthand, call it projection, but we need everybody to understand what projection is so that when they say that's just projection, you know exactly what they're talking about. It's blaming the other guy for the exact thing that you are doing yourself. And it kind of reminds me of junior high when if you can call somebody else the name before they call you the name,
right,
then it's over. You win. You win. And you can't say, Brian, you're a loser, and then Brian says, no, you're the loser. Brian sounds petty when he you know, right?
If you're the loser, I'm not a loser, you're a loser.
Well, I said it first, so you sound like an idiot. You know, that's what we're talking about here. So they have to call it out on you before you expose the fact that they're actually doing it.
Right. And real quick, the one article that the one clip that I definitely want you guys to see from Judge Neen. This real quick this one's on Trump derangement syndrome.
Okay.
And people that are suffering from it.
It's the end of the world as we know it. At least that's what the left and the mainstream media want you to think. Some compared Trump's meeting with Putin to the Holocaust, Pearl Harbor, and 9/11. But the favorite new talking point from some liberals, never-Trumpers, and their friends in the media is that President Trump has committed treason. Take a look.
I want to read the definition of treason.
This was nothing short of treasonous. We're hearing a new word, right? He said it was treason, right?
The words like, treason and undermining, our Republican little case R rule of government are being used now.
We have a treasonous president.
The very fact that reasonable people can disagree on whether or not we're talking about treason or high crimes and misdemeanors or what have you, I find genuinely shocking and seriously nauseating.
When you do a lot of drugs, you start to pick at your skin.
I was like, he's got an ulcer on his face.
Bath salts will do that to you.
Oh, my
God.
gosh.
Start kind of eat you away. So she also had Sarah Carter on later on in that clip and had Alan Dershowitz on in that clip. Both of them phenomenal people. Alan Dershowitz, just a very intelligent, educated individual. Didn't take either side, but he definitely said that this treasonous thing is starting to really get really bad. And to call for the president treason is just, it's irresponsible and it's ignorant because what Donald Trump can and will do has nothing to do with treason. Treason, and he also stated that treason is during a time of war when you're attempting to work with the other side, and nobody's at war here.
When you hear the word enemy, that a lot of people forget this because war relations with other countries have changed over the years. Back in the day, an enemy, you only call another country an enemy while you're at war with them.
Yeah.
So that's what was meant. You need to understand the context of the Constitution to be able to understand things like treason. So when you hear enemy, aiding and abetting the enemy or providing aid and comfort to the enemy, you're talking about during time of war because you don't just call some random country an enemy when you're not at war with them.
And if we're not at war with them, what should we be doing? Probably mending.
Warring with
them.
We need to declare war because if we can't call Donald Trump treasonous because we're not at war with Russia, the obvious solution here is to declare war on Russia.
That's what we need to do right now, declare war on Russia.
I'm telling you.
And so Sarah Carter made the comment. She said that she is dumbfounded and beside herself that this whole thing, that this is as bad as 9/11.
Oh, God.
Or that this is as bad as some of these awful things. She thought it was a joke at first. And then she realized it wasn't a joke. Trump derangement syndrome is real. And that CNN dedicated 8 hours to nothing but treason
Well, just remember, what do we know? What are the facts we know about the Democrats since the day, November 9th? Since November 9th, what do we know about the Democrats? And I'm talking all hands on deck. I don't care if you are the director of the FBI or a high-level FBI agent. You're on deck. You have to do all this. And that is, by all means necessary, remove Trump, try to figure out how to nullify the election, reverse the election results, get rid of him. Look at Peter Strzok's text. Pretty much declare that we are going to remove him. Don't worry, this isn't going to happen. We're going to make sure we get rid of him, whatever. So by all means necessary, get rid of Trump. And if in the meantime, while he's not being actively removed, we're going to obstruct every single thing that he could possibly do. What else do you think they're going to do when they find an opportunity to be able to call him treasonous, which we know the punishment for treason would be to execute him, which we know death would mean the end of a presidency. And so they're just taking this moment, like when I say all hands on deck, all means necessary, when they see any opportunity to yell the T word, treason, treason, they're obviously going to take that opportunity, and this is what they did. And the thing is they're not taking into consideration how silly they look when they go that route.
Agreed, 100%.
So that's the problem here.
So real quick, just shifting gears on a couple other things. Let's look at the Whoopi Goldberg acted as if she was the head of Antifa.
Yeah, she was definitely taking the marching orders from their playbook, apparently.
Yes, and our I like to call him a friend. Obviously, if I'd ever seen Terrence in public, I would consider him a friend.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's his take. This is kind of a wrap-up, if you will, of the entire blow-up debacle. Judge Jeanine, just a real heads up, Judge Jeanine was invited on The View to talk about her new book.
And based on the way
they
treated her.
Liars, losers, and liberals, or something like that.
She was clearly brought on in order to have this happen to her or be treated this way. And that's a real shame, but they're so stupid. They don't understand how capitalism works, how marketing works. This kind of viral video is going to help her book sales.
Oh, her book sales are going to go through the roof. Everybody's going to buy one now.
Yeah. Not only that, but the very next Judge Jeanine episode on Fox was the #1 rated show in all of television, and that is because of what they did to her on The View.
She got to sit in for Sean Hannity this week, too.
And you know Sean Hannity was like, you know what, I want to make this right. That's a conservative version of social justice.
Sean Hannity's like, you know what? I'm not feeling good today. I'm going to take the day off, and I want you to put Judge Jeanine in my shoes.
The weather's too nice to not be on the golf course.
Yep,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how that went down. But okay, so this is Terrence's take. She's going to play a little bit of the situation that blew up, and then Terrence is going to give you his own personal opinion from one black man to another on Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, you had in your opening statement, which was how horrible it is that Donald Trump is talking about all of these people.
Sorry, that's what you said. You said,
Whoopi, you know what's horrible?
That
when people who shouldn't be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible? When the president of the United States whips up people to beat the hell out of people. Say goodbye.
Whoopi, I know you didn't. From one black person to another, you showed your black ass out. You acted like a ghetto hood rat. And you know you wrong, Whoopi. What you did was foul. You have lost your everlasting mind. That is not how you treat people. That is not how you treat guests. I don't give a... If you are a liberal, I don't care if you are a Trump supporter, that is not how you treat people. That is not how you treat your guests. And you know this, Whoopi. You know this. But instead, you acted like a ghetto hood rat fighting with Shaniqua at the club on a Friday night. Yeah, that's how you acted. You acted straight up ghetto. Now, you need to apologize, Whoopi, and you know you need to apologize. And then come to find out, after the camera stopped rolling, You said F you to her and told her to get the hell out the building? So that's how you treat people, Whoopi, huh? That's how you treat people who disagree with you, huh? You know what, Judge Jenny, I want to apologize on the behalf of Whoopi. I am so sorry she treated you like that. I am so sorry she got extra ghetto and acted a plum fool. Whoopi know better. I grew up watching Whoopi on TV. Whoopi know better. Whoopi, you know better. You too old to be acting like that, okay? So, Judge Jenny, I'm sorry. She acted a plum fool with you. You did not deserve that. You didn't deserve it. And you know you didn't. And she know you didn't deserve it.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, you know, he's just kind of... I forgot.
No, it's right. You know, it's there's a total, complete black hole of class when you don't... When you treat your guests, you invite somebody into your show or your home or whatever, and you treat them that way, it's just so wrong. I mean, I don't even think Terrence did it justice. I mean, there cannot be a worse thing than to say, hey, Brian, why don't you come over for dinner? You come over, and then you come over and you bring up a controversial subject that you know that you've already decided. I mean, I hate to say that Whoopi just kind of lost her head and just got emotional and she did something that she wasn't planning on doing. Come on, you know she was getting ready. I'm going to ask her a question and I'm going to blow.
Well, but here was the trigger moment. I watched the whole thing. Here's the trigger moment. They were talking over Judge Jeanine, and then finally at one point in time, Judge Jeanine was able to get out an entire couple-minute thought, just throw things out there and just really kind of talk about it. And she's like, then they started asking her questions that were completely irrelevant and trying to get her derail her. And she's like, "You brought me here to talk about my book."
Yeah, she asked her what you think the deep state is. She wanted her to define deep state, and it sounded like she was going to talk about the deep state. But before she did, she wanted to answer something that Whoopi said previously.
It was Whoopi's opening monologue where she bashed Trump, bashed him. And so as she started to answer that, Whoopi then just started all over.
She went Antifa on her. That's really what it boiled down to.
She went Antifa. And then Judge Jeanine said Trump derangement syndrome and pointed at Whoopi.
Oh.
And Whoopi said, "Oh, no, did you just point at me? Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, I'll take..."
Well, she does. I mean, look, listen, if you're a liberal...
But that's what happened. Then all of a sudden you heard it.
If you're upset that...
Her head popped.
Right. If you're upset that Trump got elected... I don't know what happened here. Got to adjust my volume knob a little bit. If you're upset that Trump got elected, that's fine. You can oppose him. You can say things that you don't like about his policies and stuff like that. But there's a point where a line gets crossed and you just go into straight up Trump derangement syndrome. When you start to believe that America should have no borders and we're a socialist nation, which is unfortunate. This is why we're having these problems. You can't have a socialist nation. I would be okay with having very, very relaxed border security if, number one, there wasn't, terrorism wasn't such an issue, but number two, if you had to work to get by in America. Right. If you had to work hard to get ahead in America and we didn't have these social programs where you could literally be a lazy bum and have everything taken care of you for you, then I wouldn't have a problem because I would know that the people that came here, I would know what they would have to do to survive. And by working so hard, you're actually making society better. By leeching off of the social programs, you're actually sucking away the resources that we create when we're productive. And so it ends up making America worse. So that's why we have this issue where we're like, wow, we got to figure out who we're going to let in and who we aren't going to let in. And based on this idea of either being productive or being a leech on society, we have to decide we're going to have a merit-based immigration system instead of just letting anybody in or having a lottery system and all this kind of stuff. So that's what it boils down to. And she's making it sound like Whoopi Goldberg. It just makes it sound like, it's racist because they're not white, they're brown or whatnot, and they speak a different language, so it's bigoted, and they're from a different country, so it's xenophobic. And you know what? All those things are just make you a bad person. And I'm not a bad person, and I don't want anybody else around me to be bad people. So I'm going to demand that you let these people in to prove that you're not a racist, that you're not a xenophobe. And if you don't accept everybody who decides to come across that border, then that's what kind of a bad person you are. And that's really what it boils down to. Donald Trump tweeted out this week, there's not one single country that has benefited from this mass immigration. Well, what if... What country has benefited from this mass immigration? None. Zero. America did before we had any social programs. I think that all the immigration that was flooding over from Europe into America, and also when we had more resources than we had labor to do anything with. Right, I agree. Sure, yeah. That was a different time. We had vast land resources that were untouched, virgin land, whereas like, you could do logging, you could do farming. They were just untouched. Well, not only that, but farming was probably about 75% of the country. It was over 90. Okay. It was over 90. Well, now it's like 1%, 2%. Right. It was over 90. Back in the founding of America, over 90%. Oh, well, I was talking about the early 1900s. Oh, well, yeah, I don't know what the percentage was then. But yeah, it slowly declined. And now that everything's mechanized and we have one guy behind a giant combine doing like hundreds of acres worth of wheat all by shifting into gear, yeah, there's going to be a lot less farmers and of course less people on this land, and so you end up with more people that are able to free themselves up for city work and all this kind of stuff. So if Biden runs in 2020, this might be one of his speeches. Oh gosh. And we're talking about immigration.
Grotesque lies about immigrants, about crime, about cost to the community. This administration's policy that literally ripped babies from the arms of their mothers and fathers. Well, it was actually crime. It was actually your policy, but that's okay. I digress.
It's called laws and breaking laws and crime and the process of dealing with a criminal.
Yeah. One of the darkest moments in our history. Not only is it a national shame, it tarnishes the very idea of America.
No, it doesn't.
And diminishes our standing in the world.
No.
You've spent so much time at the border, Griff, covering this so closely.
Yes.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, so the problem with Vice President Biden's
Sorry, this is Fox News.
Is that the whole McAllen, Texas Center, you remember the outrage, babies being torn from their mother's arms? Mm-hmm. I was there for this show reporting in McAllen just weeks ago, and that started under President Obama and Vice President Biden in reaction to the 2014 surge. That same processing center of the Border Patrol was created in 2014 that's in operation today. The Border Patrol tells you not one single baby has been ripped from their mother, as reported, and so he's really choosing to forget the recent history.
He was being so generous.
He was like, and I said, lying. Choosing to forget. That's hilarious.
Under President Obama and Biden. And when he is speaking to LULAC, who, by the way, the League of United Latin American Citizens sent people down for the protest that I was at in McAllen, and they were outraged. And I asked many of them, I said, but what about the fact that it's the exact same processing center, the same family separation process, with the exception of the zero tolerance difference? But for Biden to say that it's the darkest moment, that's a bridge too far.
It's always a bridge too far. They're calling Donald Trump a treasonous for the Putin thing. It's every bridge. You're just casting bridges in every direction over the ocean and just going too far.
Bridge too far.
Every time. It's like, this is what your problem is. And you know why they have to go so far? What is it? If you're going to say a lie, it's got to...
it's got to be such a whopper of a lie that nobody would believe that you would lie about something like that.
Like, what's got to be true, because who would lie about
Who'd be that stupid to say such a deranged lie?
Such an outlandish lie. Wow.
It's out of control. And so just because Dinesh D'Souza gave us a shout out, I got this clip from the Ingram angle where she talks to Dinesh about immigration.
Okay.
And his thoughts on that.
Well, what I find amusing is people focus on the injustice of illegal immigration to people, to natives, to people in America. But I'd like to point out the injustice of illegal immigration to legal immigrants. I'm a legal immigrant. It took me several years to go through the immigration process. Many of us don't come from countries where you can just jump over a wall or swim across a river. It's very difficult to get to America, and there's a line. So the illegal immigrant is actually jumping the line against the interests of the legal immigrant who's standing in line. Right. That aspect of the injustice of it has rarely been pointed out. The Democrats, and we see this also with Clinton and Bush, they're conflating legal and illegal immigration as if they amount to the same thing.
Oh, he did that. He did that all day long at that event in Arkansas. And George W. Bush.
They're going to show you a clip of W. He ain't looking too good.
Again, a very nice man. I like him personally, but he just gets it wrong on immigration every single time, but he's just utterly confident. He throws out words like nativism, isolationism, protectionism. They just trip off his tongue without any reference to the current political dynamic. And Dinesh, this is what he said today, or yesterday, I guess, about the immigration issue.
I'm disturbed by the debate that's taking place because I think it undermines the goodness of America.
So, Dinesh, you're a bad person if you don't agree with the Bush more open borders, amnesty plus idea of the world. You're a bad person. That's very Christian.
I mean, this immigration debate is so filled with cliches. Most of these cliches happen to be wrong. Even the people who say that America was, in a sense, created by immigrants, that's a half-truth. America was actually a country created by settlers. Settlers are the people who create the original country that immigrants subsequently want to move to. Immigrants are attracted by the kind of society that settlers build. They find it preferable to their own society. That's why they immigrate. But that distinction, again, is often lost by people who say America was created by immigrants.
That's an interesting. Looking forward to your film. Thank you so much for.
We're looking forward to his film too.
We sure are.
Yep. Make sure you get your tickets at smithradio.com. It's that big giant green button at the top. I wish you made the font bigger, but maybe that's just the way it displays on my phone because I can see the giant, huge green button.
It's ugly,
but the font it's like neon green. Right. But the font, I don't know. I can't even read it, but it's on my phone. But whatever. So it was interesting that he said that. The country was made by settlers. It was made. Right. It was created by coming up with philosophy that comes from thought. These are actual things that come from a person's brain or a bunch of people's collective ideas that come together and are written down on a piece of paper and are agreed by everybody to adhere to for now and forever. That is what America is. What Dinesh kind of made me realize when he was saying that was that liberals look at America as a piece of land that we're standing on.
Right. Oh, no, that we stole.
Well, right. That's true, too. That's like them going the next step. Their next step is, well, yeah, you're standing on this piece of land we're calling America, but I don't even think you even belong here yourself. It's not a geographical place. We could have created America anywhere. Look, everybody's like, America's the land of milk and honey because of all the resources they have. They have a lot of timber. They have oil you could drill and all that kind of stuff. They have nice weather in a lot of places. They have the whole gambit. It's great. America, they really have grass that's green on the other side over there.
Very green.
And but what they don't realize is that if you look at the resources of anywhere in Europe, especially in places where the climate's warm enough to grow more things, a lot of places in Asia, you got jungles. You talk about have a farm in a tropical area. You got like year-round warmth that you could grow stuff. My point is,
we got deserts in America. We just don't live in them.
We're not prosperous because we have better or more resources than other places. It's the process by which we do all that stuff, which is spelled out in the Constitution, which is essentially letting people do what the hell they want as long as it's not hurting the other people, and stop letting people have so much power that they get to abuse all the citizens. That is why we are the land of milk and honey. Now, does everybody deserve that? Well, I mean, our ancestors created it. And by the way, if you were an invited immigrant that has gone through the process to become American, it's the same as an adopted child. It may not be your direct ancestor or a direct mother or father by birth, but they've adopted you and now you're one of the family. Well, that's how we treat legal immigrants.
We adopt them.
We take them in and we say, you're American now. It doesn't matter that you were born somewhere else. And it doesn't matter that you actually didn't contribute to the creation of America.
Right.
We're okay with that because we're accepting you in. Now, if you break in and you don't assimilate and all this crazy stuff, and it's just we're not cool with that. And you know what? You don't belong here, and you don't deserve to be here.
Right. It's the same feeling you get as if somebody walked into your front door, opened up your refrigerator, and just started eating food.
Yeah, I think it was Charlie Kirk.
Oh, Kirk. Yeah.
He said
that analogy.
Yeah, he said a person that jumps our border is no more American or an immigrant as somebody that breaks into your house is now a member of your family.
Right. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, you can't just break into somebody's house and say, I just want to be part of the family. Well, what if they don't want you?
I'm not looking for nobody to be a part of my family. I'm not looking for new members.
Okay, all right, okay, but I deserve to be here. It's my right. And by the way, you may have bought this house, and you may have signed the contract, and you may be paying a mortgage, but I don't think you deserve it because technically it's owned by the bank, and you're just paying them.
Yeah.
So it's really the banks, and since this is the banks, and the bank doesn't care if I'm here, I'm staying. I mean, that's pretty much the argument.
Right. No, I can see that. Unbelievable. So real quick, what we were talking about earlier, Joe Biden running 2020 and that obnoxious drivel that he just spewing out lies, just absolute lies. This was put to Donald Trump a question. If you're talking about what the people that are going to run for Democrat Party in 2020, and what did he think of Joe Biden running? And this was Trump's response.
Let me ask you about 2020.
Okay.
Who do you think your Democratic opponent will be? Joe Biden says he'll make a decision by January.
Well,
Tough opponent?
I dream about Biden. That's a dream. Look, Joe Biden ran 3 times. He never got more than 1%. And President Obama took him out of the garbage heap, and everybody thought that he did. I'd love to have it be Biden. I think I'd like to have any one of those people that we're talking about. You know, there's probably the group of 7 or 8 right now. I'd like to run against any one of them. But Biden never by himself could never do anything. President Obama took him, made him vice president, and he was fine. But you go back and look at how he succeeded in running when he ran 2 or 3 times. I don't think he ever broke one. He was at the 1 or less level, 1% or less level.
Wow. Well, there you go. And I didn't know he ran 3 times.
Didn't know that either. But he's, you know what? That's how he ended up vice president. He was running, and he had to drop out because he sucked.
He was running eternally. Eternally. Well, and folks, if you've listened to the show long enough, you know for a fact you can become very wealthy, very rich, doing nothing but running and losing campaigns. Never winning a campaign, but losing.
Why are we doing this? We need to run, man. I'm running for Congress. Senate.
You do that. You do that.
I'm going to run for Senate, and I might accidentally get elected.
I support you. Well, Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, she accidentally won her
28
primary.
And the thing is that she blew out an establishment guy.
That guy didn't even care.
No, he didn't even. And all of a sudden, before he knew it, he saw in his rear view mirror somebody coming up on him. And he didn't realize she was doing 90
while he was like parked.
He's like, the car's not even started. Oh, let me get it started. Okay, she's coming up on me. I get it started. I got it in gear. And as soon as he started to put the pedal down, She flew by at 90 mile an hour.
He had no chance.
No, none at all. He didn't even care. So bye-bye establishment likes. Speaking of that, the Democrats are grappling and having a huge problem with this socialist move. Not all of them, but a handful of Democrats are getting very upset about this dart to the left, this socialist move to the left. Joe Lieberman.
It concerns me a little bit, but yeah.
Joe Lieberman, former Democrat turned independent.
Yeah. He was part of the Sore Loser Man campaign.
Yeah.
Gore Lieberman.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He came out absolutely just bashing her, just saying this is just not the way the party's supposed to go. Ironically, this is how our party is supposed to go. The Republican Party. This is how it's supposed to go. Capitalism, free market capitalism, laissez-faire, hands off, limited regulations, if any regulations, high employment, low unemployment. Unemployment's now, the jobless claims have now dipped to 1968.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, the laissez-faire and all that is. The jobless and unemployment get better when the government gets the hell out of the way.
We've talked about this with the Great Depression. You want to know why it lasted so damn long?
FDR.
Yeah, he got in the way.
He was like, we need to do something about this. Let's build a dam.
They got in the way. They wouldn't stop. They wouldn't just stop. They wanted to take over the states' rights. They wanted to be bigger than the states. Folks, it goes back to where states are bigger than the federal government and states' rights rule. That's all there is to it. We got to cut this back, and that's what Trump is doing. So in that sense of where our party is going, 544 days Trump has been in office. What is President Trump's greatest accomplishment so far? There's a vote that you can go and vote for that. These are some of the things that they put on their list. Breitbart News put on their list. Low unemployment, tax cuts. During the Trump administration, unemployment rate reached a 17-year low, which is now even lower than that now. It's an older article. Unemployment for African Americans in particular reached a record low, 5.9 in May, lowest in history. Also lowest in history for Hispanics, also lowest in history for females. And this was the track. They started keeping track of this since 1972. Unemployment percentage for Hispanics and Latino citizens hit a record low, 4.6 in June. These low numbers were spurred by Trump's tax plan, which almost doubled deductions for millions of American families. U.S. employers added 223,000 jobs in May, and the nation's unemployment fell to 3.8%, which analysts say that is tactically zero.
Yeah, because there's always going to be like certain amount of people that are just
don't even want to work.
Well, don't want to, or just for what? There's just the transition between two jobs. There's always going to be like a certain percentage. Also, you called it low unemployment / tax cuts. Could we also throw in there that you do tax returns on a postcard now?
That would
We've
be
all been dreaming
beautiful.
about that for years.
It'd be an incredible thing. Neil Gorsuch, don't forget Neil Gorsuch, folks. Phenomenal guy on the court. And now we're going to have Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh, they're the percentages and the numbers of him passing and getting through because of the pressure on Democrats in Trump states. Trump won these states. Democrats cannot walk away from Kavanaugh. They know it, and they're pushing back on Nancy Pelosi. Democrats are... You got a fractured party in the Democrat Party. They're fractured in many different pieces. They're fractured in the sense of Second Amendment. They're fractured in the sense of abortion. They're fractured in the sense of Kavanaugh. And now they're fractured in the sense of socialism.
You're right, because especially when you go really far left on that. As far as Kavanaugh's concerned, I'm feeling good about it because I heard a little bit of a disturbing inside information this week. But the main thing you need to know is that Mitch McConnell has given Trump his word that there will be a vote on getting him in there, and before the election.
Before the election.
Before the election. So that's the important thing. When Mitch McConnell can say that, it sounds to me pretty good. I'm good with that.
And we rail against Mitchie and
but he's the one
his girl Lindsay. I mean,
we
his buddy.
We don't like him because he's what we consider a rhino. But if he's going to say yes, we'll play ball with Trump on this issue, then I'm going to praise him for that. But we know that what's coming, that eventually he's going to do something that you're just like, oh, hit Mitch McConnell.
Right. And Mitch McConnell is probably doing this because he knows this will help him in all aspects of a re-election of sorts. And that's fine. That's fine. Donald Trump got your arm twisted, and you got to do what you're supposed to do. That's all right. I have no problem. The economy, we said that again, just booming economy. Anybody who's got a 401k, their investments are up. Israel, U.S. Embassy, Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Donald Trump tweeted out, "This is nothing more or less than a recognition of reality. It is also the right thing to do. It's something that had to be done." North Korean summit, Black and Hispanic unemployment, business investments up 39% since due to Donald Trump's tax cuts. What? But I thought all that money was going in their pockets and they wasn't going to get nothing but crumbs.
Well, it's up. Highest manufacturer up. Which one are you on?
Business investments up 39%.
So what does that mean, a business investment? So you got a guy who owns a business and he's like, wow, got a lot of extra money here. What do I do with it? Do I go on vacation? Do I build a bigger house for myself and my family? Do I buy cars for everybody in the family?
Bling blings?
Yeah, I'll buy some rings, whatever. You're saying that they are reinvesting it into business? Okay.
Yeah.
So what that means is, let's say you're a manufacturer and you decide, I'm going to up manufacturing. This is going to create jobs, right? Not just for you personally, because if you're going to expand and reinvest in your business, you're not only going to require more employees to hire, but whatever stuff you buy to make that happen, like let's say you have to buy more tooling, more equipment, there's manufacturers who make this stuff.
Right.
So you're buying equipment off of other companies that are creating this. So you're actually, it's like this cascading effect where it's not just your actions of reinvesting in your company aren't just, you're just not adding 10 jobs or maybe 20 jobs, or if you're a bigger company, 100 jobs or 200 jobs. You're also, that's cascading down to the company that is providing equipment to you.
Right.
And they're going to have to hire people and expand because of the excess business that you've just provided them. And so it just kind of trickles up the line like that. And so it becomes more profitable for all companies, which causes it to be more productive. Really, you really got to boil down when you're thinking of capitalism and whether it's good or whether it's bad. It doesn't matter what system you're using. It could be communism, capitalism, whatever. It's only going to work if the people are productive.
Right.
If socialism can produce a team of people that you would call citizens that woke up every morning and said, "I know I'm getting paid just enough to survive.
I'm getting paid. I'm a doctor and I'm getting paid the same as a guy who sweeps the street.
Right. I'm getting paid. We're all getting paid the same. But you know what? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to work as hard as I can for Mother Russia or whatever." Whatever communist country. Russia's not communist, but that's what they would have said back in Soviet Union days. Or Mother Cuba or whatever.
Venezuela.
That would be a productive society.
It ain't happening.
I know.
They're running out of water.
I know. But if they were productive, if they said, you know what, I don't care that I'm living in squalor. I'm going to go out and work as hard as I can for my mother country, for the government, for the rich bureaucrats.
Right.
I'm going to work really hard for them. You would end up with a productive society that would end up having wealth. It would be a wealthy nation. Now,
wealth
of course,
all over the place.
Well, and end up being trickled up to the bureaucrats.
They take it all.
And it doesn't work because people are just like, I am not going to break my back for these people.
I'm not going to pay a lot for that muffler.
But in a capitalist society,
you could say that.
Well, in a capitalist society, you would say, I'm going to work hard so that I can do better for myself and my family.
Well, you get paid for your labor.
Yes.
And as much labor as you put in, as much as you get out. Right. The company that I work for, you folks know, is Gold Manufacturing Company. This manufacturing company...
He's a goldsmith.
He's Goldsmith. The vendors that we buy stuff from they're blown away by all the stuff that we're buying.
Like tooling and stuff?
There's all kinds of things that we sell that we outsource. And it's a lot of stuff that this company sells everything.
Okay.
So they outsource a lot of stuff, and a lot of the vendors are saying, you guys are buying more from us than we can even sell.
Oh, wow. So they have to expand.
Yes, everybody's expanding.
Yeah.
And we're expanding too. We just bought 3 new laser machines. The company's doing a reorganization of everybody. And the company is buying, currently right now, we buy our gold tube, 30 inches of gold tube.
You got to bring one of those home to show.
To make rings. It's about $50,000 a tube.
Okay. It's hollow. So
it's hollow.
You could tap it into your plumbing, just make it like.
Oh yeah, you absolutely could. You
okay.
Just thread the ends.
Right.
So each tube that we currently buy right now, they pay They pay a lot of money to have this tube made. We give them gold. Mm-hmm. They physically make the tube and send it back.
Okay.
That labor is so expensive. It's crazy expensive. So my company said, hey, why don't we buy that machine and make our own tube?
Okay.
And so they asked me and my millennial, and we said, hell yeah, we'll make it. We'll run the machine and make the gold tube.
See, this is the beauty part of Brian. The answer is always yes.
Always yes.
Always yes. That's how we got the Dinesh D'Souza thing.
They said, how do you know you're going to do it? You find a way.
Right.
You just find a way.
Yeah,
so they're buying a whole brand new machine to make smelt and make our own gold tubing.
Awesome.
Good times. Thank you, Trump. So just wrapping this up real quick, April 2018, best month in history for budget, according to CBO. Food stamp usage drops by 500,000 in a single month.
Thank God for that. That is that's a national embarrassment to have high food stamp usage.
Right.
So it's dropped.
The highest ever manufacturing optimism, over 94%. Unemployment claims fall to a 45-year low. Trump economy explodes. Record number of Americans employed. Stocks still soaring. Great again. Household net worth pushes further into record territory. These aren't crumbs, folks. These are real people's lives. U.S. consumer confidence, 17-year high. U.S. home building permits. This has got to tell you something. U.S. home building permits highest since 2007. And you're like, that's kind of weird. Since 2007? Yeah. 2007, they were giving it out to everybody.
Yeah, because socialists decided we need to meddle in the market, and that caused
an 2008 fallout.
Yeah,
right.
the Great Recession is what they call it, I think. So I call it the Great Depression too.
Well, but this is a good thing because, as my real estate agent explained to us, there's no inventory. If a house is built, a house is up for sale, and it's worth buying, they get bought up, swooped up real quick.
So just a little advice for you guys. Whatever they tell you your house is worth, go ahead and tack on one more 5-figure onto that, 10,000.
You can get it.
Yeah, you'll eventually get it, but here's the thing. Don't think you're coming up on $10,000. You're going to need that to buy your house.
The next house.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So roaring economic optimism. Index hits 13-year high. Credit to tax cuts. Wages jumped to highest level since 2009, up 2.9%. Manufacturing in the U.S. just accelerated to its best year since 2004. Nikki Haley negotiates a $285 million cut in bloated UN budget. WIC welfare participation. WIC, women, infant care. Children. Women, infant children. Welfare participants hits 17-year low. I like to hear that. And now White House pledges to train 3.8 million new American workers. He's working with all kinds of big companies, the Fortune 500 companies, and they're willing to train new workers across America. Kudos to Trump for negotiating that one. And another great thing that happened this week, liberal Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals surprises the hell out of everybody in California. Sides with pro-Second Amendment decision blocking California from confiscating ammunition.
Wow. So they did it right.
Yes.
They upheld the Second Amendment. And by the way, ammo is a part of arms. Yes. Same thing with knives. I crack up laughing when people are like, "Yeah, well, Second Amendment right to bear. You can have a firearm, but that don't cover knives. Actually, swords, knives, hatchets, shields. That's all arms. A tank." It's all arms.
ICBM?
Yes, all arms.
If you can maintain it, you should be able to have one.
The EPA would come down and say, guys, I don't think you should be able to have.
Well, I don't have electricity hooked up to it. I need what is it? I need 880. Give me a high number of
440.
440. Go higher than that.
I don't know. There's an 880?
I know. I just made that
16,000. I don't know.
I need that 1.21 gigawatts to get this thing lit up.
There you go. Yeah.
I ain't even got that. I ain't going to get off the ground.
Well, the flux capacitor will take care of it.
So check this out real quick. I'm going to play this video. This shows you the hypocrisy of mainstream media. After this video is done, and at the end of the ding, 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 at the end of that little bell, I normally play a clip, an outgoing clip, but I'm going to play a rebuttal clip.
Cool.
To this that I can't play on YouTube. So I got to do it right after the bell. But I have a rebuttal clip to this.
Stick around
moron.
after the bell. Stick around after the bell.
And this is fake Jake, bashing Donald Trump.
President Trump is planning to liven up one of the most recognizable plane designs in the world. And that's the subject of this week's State of the Cartoonian. Air Force One is getting a makeover, and President Trump's design ideas are already taking off.
Air Force One is going to be incredible. It's going to be the top of the line.
First on Trump's list, nix the colors selected by the Kennedys in 1962.
I wonder if we should use the same baby blue color, and we're not.
Oh, I think it's lovely. I hate to make changes, really.
The president says he wants to go with something a little more, on the nose.
You know what colors we're using? Take a guess. Red, white, and blue.
Another idea, perhaps? The former real estate developer is known for selecting only the finest materials, maybe a solid gold plane.
I like it.
Solid okay, Jake.
Why doesn't he do the black with the gold Trump lettering?
Oh, no, because that really is Trump's plane.
Right.
Yeah.
Do that for Air Force One.
Right.
Marble for the wings.
Marble.
I want the plane to be immaculate. I want everything polished.
Though perhaps that's not the most aerodynamic idea.
Please prepare for landing.
Of course, the president could just go with his favorite image.
Do I look like a president? How handsome am I, right?
They've made the plane into a caricature of Trump.
Oh, God.
Disgusting.
How handsome.
On the other hand, there is already a famous plane with a red, white, and blue design. Perhaps the president got some inspiration on the tarmac in Helsinki.
Russia
I think
plane.
I could have a very good relationship with Russia and with President Putin.
Спасибо большое.
They show Putin with no shirt on, and he might be naked, but they don't show that. Looking at Trump with loving blue, it's a very homo, gay, very bad. So that was the fake Jake trashing Trump on Trump just saying, hey, I just got this idea. What do you think? Why don't we change this up a little bit? And I like it. I like the fact. I say change it up.
Oh, I'm cool with it. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the old way, but if he wants to change it, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, unless it's a design that's just ugly.
Right. No. I mean, be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Come up with a good color scheme, whatever. So he's trashing Trump for saying red, white, and blue, trashing him. What is red, white, and blue? And then he shows a Russian aircraft, whatever. I'll show you. You wait after the ding, ding, ding. Wait till the end, and it's almost here. I'll show you red, white, and blue. And knock your socks off, folks. Anyways, for Smith Radio, Carrie, any other last bits?
I just want to point out that the red, white, and blue of a Russian presidential aircraft, I mean, their flag is red, white, and blue. So for them to make that connection is just asinine because that's what their colors are anyway. Right. It was like when the CPAC 2 years ago when somebody brought in Russian flags that say Trump on the middle, but it's the Russian flag, and it's red, white, and blue. It fooled a lot of people at first because it doesn't look with the name Trump, and it doesn't look like anything. But anyway, it's red, white, and blue. It tricked a lot of people, and then finally somebody's like, there's a Russian flag, and took it. So Anyway, let's hear this rebuttal after this.
Fastest 3 hours you'll spend anywhere in the world, folks. Share this with your friends and your family. Hit the like, hit the share, do all that crazy stuff.
And make sure that you are supporting us on patreon.com/SmithRadio, patreon.com/SmithRadio. $1 will get you into our party.
And if you have any confusion, go to SmithRadio.com. It is all there.
Yep.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.